Salutations! Welcome to Pod Mortem. I'm Reneé Hunter Vasquez, joined as always by my co-hosts, my husband and my brother.
Hi, I'm John Paul Vasquez.
Hi, I'm Travis Hunter.
This week, we're recording live from the Monacan Mines discussing the 2014 found footage horror film, The Taking of Deborah Logan. This film was directed by Adam Robitel and written by Robitel and Gavin Heffernan. The Taking of Deborah Logan provides a new take on found footage horror, mixing a legitimate reason for filming and strong performances with the very real subject of Alzheimer's disease. This film was recommended to us by friends of the show, Brittany Ramatar, Molly Gerhart, Sandra Escalera, and Suze. We thank them so much for their support and for their suggestions. So, what did you guys think of The Taking of Deborah Logan the first time you saw it?
I'll be honest, I don't remember when we very first watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've seen it a few times, and I do like the movie. I do want to start off by saying I do enjoy this movie. But for the show, it kind of hurt the movie watching it, taking it apart. And,
Yeah.
You do kind of see some problems and it did hurt the movie for me. But I do enjoy it.
I can definitely agree. It's difficult. Nay and I were talking earlier about it's kind of a miracle that any film holds up to the scrutiny of like doing a podcast on it.
Right.
To where you're like picking apart every little thing and you're like, no, it's still a 10.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
amazing.
no, that's a lot.
That's genuinely amazing. But I really enjoyed this film the first time that I saw it. And I think I've seen it maybe one time after that before we decided to cover it for the show. And I really enjoyed it then. But along with JP, I think that being so critical and watching it with a critical eye, kind of, there is some stuff that sticks out as a little,
I mean, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But, I mean, not completely excuse everything, but this is a 90-minute movie.
Uh-huh.
It packs a punch, I think. And I don't think that when they made it, they were like, now, even if you pause every 30 seconds to take notes, it's still going to hold up. You know what I mean?
It's not, look, I look at this movie as like the perfect like Friday night horror movie.
Right.
Yeah.
You throw it on, you have a fun time watching it.
Yeah.
And even so, it does have, an interesting allegory attached to it.
Yes,
Right.
it does.
And it's kind of deeper than the film needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's some stuff here. And I will admit, I'm not the biggest fan of found footage films, mostly because I was spoiled by the Blair Witch Project.
Right.
Right.
It's very hard when Baby's Day Out was the best day of your life. To watch like any other kind of found footage just kind of feels like a step down from the Blair Witch Project to me. But I think they did well. It's an interesting idea. And I think that there's a lot to enjoy here. There's one scene that I will just call jaw-dropping.
Yes.
For the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that probably sticks to me more than really anything else in the movie.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that everything else that's there is forgettable or anything.
Right. I agree with you to the extent that it went harder than it had to.
Yes.
Right.
And I appreciate that. I remember when it came out and I was like rolling my eyes. I didn't see it when it came out. I watched it for the first time with you. I would say in the last couple years.
Probably,
last few years. But I remember seeing the trailers and stuff. And I feel like I do enjoy found footage horror, but I think because it can be easier to make, there's a lot of trash to wade through. And so when I see found footage horror and everybody's like, this is the scariest movie since The Exorcist, I'm like, okay, sure.
Is that how they talk?
Right. And then The Taking of, The Possession of, The Exorcist, any movie with the title like that, I'm like, I'm turned off.
See, the market was not only saturated with the found footage,
Yeah.
but those titles.
Yes, I'm like, so really, like, in the trailer, it's like, that looks like it could be scary. Is it going to be scary? It's fucking not. I already know it's not. Like that, the title's ridiculous. I'm fucking sick of possession films, and it's fun. Like, I'm good. But finally watching it, I was like, holy shit. There were moments that were fucking scary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Alzheimer's is so fucking scary on its own. So to introduce that as well as this other angle to it, I feel like it was a very thoughtful, what did you say, allegory?
Yeah.
I just was very surprised by it. And I really, really enjoyed it. I think I've seen it twice before we worked on it for the show. And I loved it the 2 times that I saw it, and I still really, really like it. There is stuff when, like, our job is to kind of hold up a microscope and, you see the seams sometimes when you hold up a microscope. But I still feel like if you haven't seen this, you should definitely see it, because some of the, like you were saying, some of the visuals in this are like, fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck. They're insane.
Yeah, it's honestly, I mean, in all fairness, probably one of the better found footage films I've seen.
For sure.
And I think that part of it is because, now, I think this is where it gets me, where I find it so intriguing.
Right.
Is that it starts off so grounded.
Right.
And then it explodes into what it explodes into.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not easy to pull off, because you're getting us here at the beginning, and then you're like, okay, now hold on.
Yeah.
Because we got some shit planned.
Yeah.
It's nuts. But I do think that one thing I want to talk about is very commendable. I was reading about the background of this film, and according to Birth Movies Death, they had, I think, some test screenings whenever the film was not completely complete. And obviously, they did not go well.
Right.
And so, to the dismay of everybody working on it, it was not given a theatrical release.
Right.
It was given DVD and video on demand, and not even a Blu-ray release.
Jeez.
Yeah, they were like, that's not worth it. It got a Blu-ray release, I think, finally in 2020.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
Yeah, because it had grown this audience through Netflix. Whenever it got on Netflix, like a ton. I think that's where I saw it first.
Yeah. I was gonna say, that's the thing, is I don't think I've ever talked to anybody who's seen this movie and then being like, "Oh, that sucked." I've never heard that.
Not at all. And I think it's honestly, for me, I like hearing kind of a underdog success story.
Yeah.
And this definitely feels like one where you're told by your distributor that your film's kind of garbage and they're just going to dump it. And then it gets this following online. I did read also that 2 of the biggest supporters of the film were Lee Winnell and James Wan.
Hey.
And,
those guys.
Again, they said that Robitel actually got his directing gig for the 4th Insidious film based on the back of this.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
And so it's just like, not only was it this little, what's the fucking little engine that could?
Yeah.
What is that?
Because he says, "I think I can," so he does.
I mean, that's cool. But yeah, it was one of those, I guess.
Now, before we connect this film's call, we would like to issue a warning for spoilers. Podmortem is a very in-depth podcast, and in thoroughly discussing horror films, we have no choice but to spoil a thing or two. If you don't wish to be spoiled, please go watch the film, then come back and enjoy the show. If you've already seen the film or don't care about spoilers, then let's open wide. The film opens with the text. The following film includes a partially edited medical documentary, outtakes, and surveillance footage from the scenes of the crime. We get a quick cut of traveling down a road with the date October 12th, 2013.
Now, I just have to say off the top, the little text at the beginning, I think we've moved past the need for this in found footage films. I already know this isn't real.
I feel like it's literally almost like homage at this point to me. It's like we have to. We all know this isn't real, but we have to pretend that it is.
Right.
I don't know.
3 college students.
Yeah.
It's like, we get it.
But the text continues. Medical student Mia Hu and her documentary crew travel to Exuma, Virginia to meet with Alzheimer's patient Deborah Logan and her daughter Sarah. Now, I did want to point out something really quick that kind of sent me on a spiral because I was very confused. They address her as Mia Hu in this text. On everything else, she's Mia Medina.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
And made even worse by me watching a featurette, and when they interviewed the actress, like, they obviously had the actress's name, but then underneath it said she was playing the character of Leah. And so I was like, what?
God damn it. I know it's not a big deal. Obviously, it doesn't pertain. Really, her last name doesn't matter in the film, but I was like very confused. It just felt like a very big oversight.
Right.
Everything else that I saw was Medina. IMDb is Medina. It's just weird.
Well, in all fairness, it kind of is a big deal that your main character's name is wrong.
You're right.
I mean, I don't know. Might be a sign of some attention to detail to come, but
Well,
who knows?
Hey, watch it, buddy. I don't know. But we cut to Mia Medina, played by Michelle Ong, pulling up to the Logan home, a huge, beautiful house. I was like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
With her is her crew, Gavin, played by Brett Gentile, and Luis, played by Jeremy DeCarlos. As the car pulls up, Sarah Logan, played by Ann Ramsey, jogs alongside it, smoking a cigarette, laughing and clueless about where they should park when they ask.
I just need to call out from the top.
Please.
Anne Ramsey is just cool as shit.
I love her so much. It's funny because I know I'm rewatching Dexter right now, and she's in season 3.
Yeah.
And so I had just seen her in that recently. She is in everything that I've ever seen her in. She's phenomenal.
I've only seen her in these 2 things.
Yeah.
But it's enough to where I would watch anything with her.
I remember there's
yeah.
something so weirdly magnetic about her. Like, I remember because me and my dad were obsessed with CSI, the OG CSI. And so we would watch it every week. And there's this one episode that she's on, spoilers for a 21-year-old episode of CSI. But
just in case.
She's in an episode where it's her and Bree from Desperate Housewives, the redhead.
Marsha Cross?
Why
do I know that?
Yeah, I don't know. But her husband, I was thinking Marsha Gay. I was thinking Marsha Gay Harden, but that's Mrs. Carmody. Marsha's husband dies, and it's suspicious, and then Anne Ramsey's the secretary or the assistant or something. And it turns out that they pair up and they do this. One of them marries the guy, one of them's the assistant, and they kill him and take his money. And ever since then, I was like, I like that lady and she's a murderer and I don't know why. But there's just something so memorable about her. And I would say in this film, especially, she's so like authentic. Like she makes Sarah a real person. I don't know. I really liked her as Ellen Wolf as well in Dexter.
Yeah, I think the thing is there's something not only magnetic about her, but oddly alluring. Like whenever she smiles, I smile.
Yes.
Like I don't know.
I'm like, I just want to be friends with Anne Ramsey.
And it's funny to me because we were talking about how she's on Dexter, and in this she's like in a Deborah Morgan cosplay.
Yeah. Down to the button downs and the jeans. That's hilarious.
And I do apologize if I accidentally call this film The Taking of Deborah Morgan. I've been doing that so much.
We were talking about it the other day and he did it twice on accident. So
purely accidental.
Yeah.
Not his sister.
No.
But anyway, when they finally do park, Mia gets out of the car to shake Sarah's hand, but instead Sarah greets her with a big hug. She shakes the crew's hands and makes a show of straightening up her clothes so that she can be on camera. She's delightful.
Yeah.
They walk around the side of the house and Sarah warns the crew that her mother can come off salty, but it's all just an act. Her mom is actually excited for them to be there. She says that she cleaned like the president is coming to dinner. When they get around to the back of the house, Sarah calls after her mother, who says she was back here, but she's gone now. The camera cuts to Sarah confirming with Mia that they do have the grant money that was promised on the flyer because they're counting on it.
It seemed funny to me that they would do this in front of the camera.
Yeah.
It's like maybe
there's a
go
couple
to the side.
things. There's a couple things where I'm like, Luis, why are you filming right now? But Mia confirms to her that they do have the grant money and that Sarah and her mother will even be helped with some of their medical bills. They just need to make sure that they're a good fit for the project. They walk into the woods on the property and Sarah gives them all the rundown to get on her mother's good side. Pleases and thank yous, smiles, basically just kissing her ass.
But in all fairness, isn't that just being a decent human being?
Right. Now, don't cuss her out. I know she's a huge bitch, right? She doesn't like when
she hates that.
Well, at least she's warning them.
That's true. Yeah.
She's all uppity.
Yeah.
But in the woods, they finally find Sarah's mother, Deborah Logan, played by Jill Larson. And we did shout out Anne Ramsey, but Jill Larson,
dude.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
This film belongs to her.
Yes.
And it's refreshing for me to see people putting so much of themselves into a role.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love it. And I had looked on IMDb because she looked familiar, but I couldn't place it. And even looking on there, I couldn't place anything either. But I did find that for 24 years, she was a soap actress on All My Children.
What?
Yeah.
Nice.
I think they said 760 episodes.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And she had an interview I read on iHorror. Not only was this her first horror film, but she had never seen a horror film before.
Get out.
Yeah.
She does
That's funny.
an amazing job.
Oh yeah.
It's just meeting this woman right here with her little outfit and her hair. Like, you do not expect her to take us where she takes Deborah
Right,
Logan. Do you know
right.
what I mean?
No, of course, yeah.
I had to stop for a second because I thought I might have said
Deborah
Morgan.
Morgan. I do want to say I feel like that's one thing that a lot of found footage films don't necessarily go for, which is Deborah and Sarah feel like characters.
Yes.
No, yeah. I think that for me, why I really enjoyed the movie was, like you said, they feel like real people.
Yeah.
And it's not hard for me to be like, you kind of disconnect with it because of the characters, but these people, you like, just like that, you're like, oh shit, you're concerned.
Yes.
You want to be part of this story of what's going on.
Yeah. And their relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they have really good chemistry. I think that also is kind of a downside because then you look at Mia, Luis, and Gavin.
And they're not fully fleshed
Yeah.
out.
No. Are they us? Like, are
Right.
they surrogates?
Basically.
They're just a blank. They're mannequins.
Sometimes.
You're supposed to you're supposed to put yourself on it. It's a
Oh.
blank canvas.
Very cool.
But Deborah's raking up leaves with her friend Harris, played by Ryan Catrona, and putting leaves into a wheelbarrow. Sarah makes introductions, but Deborah is in a hurry to wrap up what she's doing and put all her supplies back so that they're ready for her when she needs them next.
I was surprised to see Eugene Hofstetter from Mad Men.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't see him in a lot of things, and so a lot of times if I do see him in anything, it's just Mad Men that I...
You're just Leonardo DiCaprio with
Exactly,
the point.
yeah. And I think it's good. I think that's one thing that I really love about not necessarily low budget horror, but just horror that isn't studio.
Right.
It's
right.
you get an opportunity for a lot of these really good character actors to
Yeah.
come in because they're not asking for $50 million.
Right.
Right.
And they can put on a performance that is memorable.
I was going to say,
yeah.
and they shine when given the chance.
Yeah. Like all three of them do that here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But as Deborah puts her things back into the barn, she tells Mia that she's interested in the educational aspects of the project, but she's not looking to be exploited or end up the butt of anyone's joke. Mia and Sarah reassure her that that's not why they're here. Mia tells Deborah that her grandfather had Alzheimer's, so this is more than just a grade to her. This softens Deborah a little bit, who admits that she's just a very private person and she's having second thoughts.
So I do have to say that if they were going to exploit her, it's almost like Zodiac when he's like, I'm not the Zodiac, and if I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Like, would they be like, oh no, this is exploitative.
100%. No, we're going to embarrass the fuck out of you.
Absolutely.
But Deborah apologizes for the trip that they made here, but she says she's just not the right fit for this. She immediately heads back inside, and Sarah, in disbelief, runs in after her. Behind the camera, Gavin asks Mia, isn't her grandfather on vacation in New Zealand? Mia admits to the lie, saying that Deborah just needed a little nudge.
Sly dog, huh?
Yeah, I was
Or
mad.
shitty person. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're trying to do their study. You know what I mean? So it was a shitty thing to do, but I understand why she did it. You know, she's like, "Come on, man, let's get this going.
I mean,
we came a long
Let's
way."
get this
Yeah.
I'm trying to get an A
Yeah, I
here.
was like, but my grade. Yeah.
Yes. I mean,
But I see that. I think that too, because I thought they were just like, I know it was for school, but I thought they were doing like this is a medical study, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it is a good thing, kind of, but you don't need to lie about it.
no,
Yeah.
it's
That's
very,
the issue is they said if this is the right fit, they're already going to be financially compensated.
Right.
So I feel like kind of ethically it's fucked to
Yeah,
also be like
no.
trying to ply her emotionally.
Right.
Yeah, and to again admit to the camera that you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't-
Oh no, I fucking
no, I
lied.
lied.
It's like, oh, you're filming. It's like, no.
Yeah, oh shit. But I think like just again ethically for me, especially whenever what they're trying to do is good,
Yeah.
you're tainting it with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And another thing, I read that the actress who plays Mia is from New
Yeah.
Zealand.
Later on, you can definitely hear
yeah.
it. I read a thing that they were like, and nothing against Michelle Onk because she does a better American accent than I could ever do a New Zealand accent.
Uh-huh.
But he was like, the director was like, she can just turn it on and off. And I was like, all right.
It's like, well, was the switch in the middle? Or? But no, I mean, again, nothing against her because she does well.
She does for the majority. Yeah, it's
Right.
really good.
But my thing is, if you're saying that her grandfather is in New Zealand, why not just give her the accent?
I know.
Let her use her accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That accent's awesome.
but it is.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we need an American though. Like, what the fuck? I don't get it. I don't
hate
know.
it. Well, that's strong.
I hate it. But I feel like this is necessary to kind of establish a character arc for Mia.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like she's like, this isn't just a great, like, it negates everything she said after. If you start it with a lie, like the rest of it, you know, you lied. This is a grade to you and you need to get your assignment done and your grandfather's on vacation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they do attempt to give this payoff later, but it's like, okay.
It's a little, I mean, it's kind of.
I mean, all right.
We'll talk. But they invasively film Sarah and Deborah arguing through the window of the house. Sarah tells her mother that if she wants to keep her house, she's going to have to sacrifice. But Deborah puts her foot down. She doesn't care what she said. She changed her mind and she's not doing it. We watch Sarah sit down at the kitchen table and begin to cry as Mia explains to Gavin that they're basically broke. Deborah's behind on her house, so it puts Sarah in a tough position. Sarah continues to cry, saying that she's trying as hard as she can. Deborah comforts her and says that everything will be fine, but Sarah shakes her head and Deborah notices them film from the window, but doesn't say anything. She just looks at them.
Well, because she's like, are these motherfuckers?
Yeah, I said not to exploit
Yeah.
you.
She can see you.
Yeah. Has she signed a release?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we will never stop filming it. Never.
I do have to say, they say that she's behind on the house, but we kind of learned that they've had this house for like 50 years.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes
How long was that mortgage?
100 years. But Sarah says that they need the money and they need help, and it cuts to black. In the next scene, the crew rings the doorbell at the Logan house, and we get text that reads 1 week later. Mia cautions the men to be on their best behavior because Deborah is a proper old lady.
We already met
I
her.
know.
They should have been
She's
offended.
reminding them.
They're like, it's been a week.
Yeah.
A lot could happen in a week.
I guess.
Specifically Gavin, because I don't think he has manners.
No, dude.
We'll get to that in a second.
He's wired differently.
Yeah.
Sarah answers the door happily, hugging Mia again and saying how glad she is that they came. Deborah stands with a smile on her face, but she does look a little uneasy.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah shows the film crew the dining room, but it's her painting room now because they don't entertain anymore. Sarah says that her mother is an amazing artist, but Deborah disputes this. She tries to remember the name of a bird that she painted on the wall, and Gavin identifies it as a blue-tailed finch.
All right, Stan Uris.
I was like, they had to have mentioned that for a reason. Like, it's such a specific bird. So I kind of looked online, and it's a Native American symbol for hope.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, take with that what you will.
Yeah, I like that.
But Deborah's just happy that Gavin knows about birds. But Sarah takes a small statue out of his hand and sets it back down. She's like, no. Like, why are you picking that up? But it gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
In the next room, Gavin touches the chandelier and is like, is this Bavarian crystal?
Yeah. Why is he being a pain in the ass?
I don't know.
He's gently chastised by everyone. I think Sarah's like, you're a curious guy, huh?
Yeah, trying to keep it funny, but it's
Right?
like, are you 5 years old?
As they head upstairs, Gavin asks if there's a Starbucks in town and is told no. Let's read the room, dude.
Yeah.
Once upstairs, Deborah shows them Sarah's room, which is the room that she had as a child. They go inside and Deborah says that she hasn't touched the room since Sarah left. Sarah loved cars and there are still framed photographs of cars on the wall, and she loved to play baseball, so there's still a ball and mitt on the counter of the vanity. Deborah comments that she was never really allowed in her daughter's room. I feel like their relationship is so, it rings so true because, I mean, it's like a fussy mom and her daughter that's just trying to be herself.
Yeah.
And so, like, even if she's like, wow, she loved cars and she loved baseball, I was never really allowed in here, though. Like, it's still not, I don't know. It just feels very real.
Well, she's got this almost like waspy,
Yes.
like
yeah.
passive aggressive.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
But it works so well playing off of
Yes.
Sarah.
Uh-huh.
I just love it.
But next, Deborah shows the room that Gavin and Luis will be staying in. There's a mattress on the floor and an inflatable mattress that needs to be blown up. Gavin is clearly disappointed.
Yeah.
And Sarah's like, thank her.
You
And
have to
so
be
he
reminded?
does. She's like whispering to him, thank her.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this is great. Like,
Yeah.
he's fucking, I'm like, dude, she's putting you up. You could be in a hotel.
Yeah, I know.
No joke. You could be paying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, all right, so Mia's dead to me. Now Gavin. Like, Luis, you're on the bubble.
This better be important. But Deborah tells Mia that she'll be staying in another room because there is no intermingling in her house. As they start to leave, Gavin calls her back for an even better thank you, and Sarah places a thankful hand on his shoulder. As soon as Deborah turns around, though, Gavin's smile just drops off his face.
It makes me laugh because for some reason Gavin thinks he's on The Office because he keeps looking at the camera like,
he's like, can you believe this shit?
It's like, what? It's like, all right, Tim.
Yeah.
They go into the room that Mia will be staying in, and it's much nicer with the 4-poster bed. Deborah tells Mia that it belonged to her Aunt Edna, but struggles to remember the term bedroom set. She notices that her Hummel figure's on the vanity, and shout out to Better Call Saul for teaching me what a Hummel figure was.
Yes.
But she noticed they're out of place, so she fixes it. Gavin asks Deborah if she's ever been to Germany, and she says no, it's one of her biggest regrets. But Sarah patiently reminds her that she did go to Germany and she loved it, and Deborah looks a little upset.
It is heartbreaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
All these moments that happen, and Jill Larson plays him with such nuance. Like I don't know. It's just very remarkable. You don't, again, expect this in a found footage.
Not at all, because I feel like it could be easy to take this to a place where it's too much.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
no,
even-
I did it or
Yeah,
something. But she just kind of accepts it and is clearly upset by it. You know, I mean, it's very subtle and sad.
But saying that, I get it now, because being on a soap for that long,
Right.
like, you understand, because they've got to be turned up constantly. I don't know if you've ever watched any of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I can't remember where I was at, but they watched Passions for, like, that was their shit. And they were, no, this TV, we're going to watch Passions. Okay, fine. You know what I mean? That's what was on the schedule. Let's watch it. They were into their those soaps they're great.
Well, when you're fucking playing a character for 24 years,
Yeah.
the storylines and all that shit.
You know that she got amnesia.
Oh,
yeah.
She had an evil twin.
Yeah,
She learned how to do a lot.
exactly. So she's using everything she's learned so far.
And it's great. You can,
Yeah.
Yes.
you do, like you said, if that kind of anger, but like pain because she forgot, you know, and she's like, but she feels embarrassed. But so I was like, God damn, like that sucks.
It really tugs at your heart.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that we see later, and it rings so true, is this embarrassment that's masked with annoyance and anger.
Yeah.
Like at Sarah,
Yeah.
but really it's at the situation.
Right.
Like it's just very smart acting.
It
Yeah.
is. But we cut to footage of Mia's project. She stands in front of the Logan house and states her thesis that Alzheimer's doesn't affect just one person, but has a physiological influence on the patient's primary caregiver. Now, I feel like her thesis statement is backed up by one thing in the rest of the film,
Yeah.
because I almost missed this, I think, when I watched it before. I thought it was just, you know, kind of documenting Deborah on her journey. But this is really more supposed to be about Sarah from her thesis statement.
Yeah.
And there's one scene where we're kind of checking in on Sarah, and the rest is just Deborah. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, this is a half-made medical documentary.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we were going to get there.
All next week we were supposed to interview Sarah.
Fair enough. She did not get to finish.
No.
That's fair enough.
Well, she definitely didn't get to finish because she needs to remove those fucking cricket noises from the from the mix.
It's called ambiance.
Well,
But we see a diagram of a brain as she explains that Alzheimer's occurs when abnormal protein fragments accumulate in the hippocampus of the brain and destroy the neurons there. It travels through the rest of the brain, destroying neurons that are in charge of logical thought and problem solving. Next, it attacks the sensory regions of the brain, causing terrifying hallucinations. We see patients suffering from the disease as Mia goes on. Ultimately, Alzheimer's wipes out the sufferer's oldest memories, and in its final stage, it destroys the part of the brain in charge of heart and breathing regulation. And after this, death soon follows. This is all like life. Like, this is all true, and it's just it's heartbreaking.
for me, I think this is genuinely scarier than
Anything else?
any
yeah.
fucking demon they could throw at you. Or
I had read that Robitel had front loaded a lot of this medical stuff and Alzheimer's stuff and was like, we need to give them a release. And that's when the horror movie scary stuff starts. That's a reprieve
I was gonna say, isn't
from
it weird?
what really happens.
Like,
you know,
yeah.
it just
The second things start getting scary, I was like, whew, all right.
thank God. But back at the Logan house, Deborah and Sarah set up the dining room to be interviewed. Sarah is wearing her usual button-down shirt with the military jacket over it, and Deborah vetoes the jacket and nags until Sarah takes it off. Then she's like, is that your shirt or one of your dad's?
Yeah.
They begin the interview, Deborah saying it began with senior moments, trivialities like accidentally toasting a piece of bread twice, and Sarah says that there were several occasions where Deborah left the stove on. Photo evidence is inserted of this, a burned wall behind the stove. Defensively, Deborah says that Sarah's grandmother was even worse. She would leave a pot on the stove until it melted down completely. Sarah patiently explains that she only brought up the stove because they asked what a clue was that something was wrong. And it was a clue because it had never happened before. And Deborah reluctantly accepts this. Again, clearly embarrassed that it's being talked about.
It's the way that Deborah is resigned and she's like, well, then that was a clue.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, sure.
And Sarah's patience with her.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, well, they asked. She's like, Mom. Like,
it's honestly, it just is so believable.
It is.
Right.
It really is. But we cut to an interview with Deborah's neurologist, Dr. Annalisa Nazir, played by Ann Bedian. After we see a graph of a normally functioning brain next to a brain with MCI, next to a brain inflicted with Alzheimer's, Dr. Nazir explains to us that MCI is mild cognitive impairment. They were able to find through tests that this is what Deborah had, and they were 95% sure that this was the early stages of Alzheimer's disease. Mia asks how Deborah took the news, and Dr. Nazir says that it's devastating news for anyone to receive, but Deborah is not one to go down without a fight. We see home videos of Deborah in a wedding dress with her husband on June 15th, 1965. Mia's voiceover tells us that Deborah's husband, Dennis, died prematurely of a pulmonary embolism when Sarah was 2, and Deborah was forced to find a way to provide for her on her own. We see footage of her with the young Sarah, played by Sophia Alice Fuller, in 1976, and we learn that she put their house up as collateral and started an extremely successful switchboard answering service for eczema. And the town is called Eczema.
Yeah. Like, I think it's EXUMA.
Yeah, I would say Exuma if I were reading it, but not Eczema.
It's going to be difficult.
Present-day Deborah explains that the switchboard was how professionals received their messages and transferred information back then. Sarah says that everyone told Deborah she was crazy, but when you tell Deborah not to do something, that's when she absolutely will do it.
That's admirable.
Yeah. We see old footage of Deborah operating a switchboard and young Sarah pulling a connector out of it. Present-day Deborah goes on to say that she was the nexus of the town, delivering information to everyone important, and Sarah admits that this is true. She says that she covered for everyone, philanderers and alcoholics. She had to, or they wouldn't do business with her anymore.
So she's got to get her hands dirty.
So what's going on here exactly?
She's connecting calls to all the important people.
Okay.
So if somebody is out drinking, I guess she's I don't know if she has to cover for them or if she knows what they're... I guess that is covering for them.
Yeah.
If she's like, oh no, they're in a meeting, but she knows he's out with his mistress. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
sounds pretty sexy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is just Mad Men.
Yeah.
But we follow Deborah into a plant nursery as Mia explains that there are no simple tasks for patients with Alzheimer's. Deborah's total comes out to $27.96, and we watch as Deborah laboriously counts the money after being reminded the amount.
Did it seem like the clerk was an actual clerk?
Yeah, it felt very genuine, I will say. It didn't feel like an actor.
No, I didn't look it up or anything.
Yeah.
But I think they might have just gone into a store.
Yeah.
But Deborah wrestles with her umbrella on the street. At her house, she baked a pineapple cake and has to put it back in because it didn't bake through. Afterwards, Gavin tries a piece and has a very strong reaction to it, but tries to be polite.
I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
He's like, this is fucking terrible. Like,
This tastes like shit, Mrs. Logan. That's what I thought.
Gavin has not proven himself to be very polite.
Not at all. And he's just touching random shit.
But Harris, who is described by the documentary as Sarah's neighbor and lifelong friend, says that Deborah is a fighter and she's brave, but you can't fight your way through something you can't see or know.
That, just the way he delivers that line, it's very sad.
Yeah.
Back in her interview with Sarah, Deborah says that she does all her puzzles and crosswords. She's lifting weights and doing everything that is supposed to stave off the progression. But she reiterates, stave it off. There's no cure. There's footage of her looking visibly confused and lost, both in her home and on the street as she continues. When she's in the middle of something and her mind just leaves the premises, she says there are no words for how distressing that is. And again, my heart just goes out to anybody dealing with this or dealing with a loved one with this, because
that just sounds terrifying.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really the worst thing I can think of.
Honestly. And it's such, I mean, I just can't believe that, I don't mean to get like existential or whatever, but we live in a world where that's possible.
Yeah.
It's so upsetting.
Possible and
it happens.
not uncommon at all.
I just can't, man.
Yeah. We're all sad now.
Yeah, I know. Now we got to make with the funny.
Can we get to the scary stuff now, please? Yeah. The supernaturally scary stuff.
Excuse me, Mr. Robitel.
Demons, please.
Yes.
But we cut to Louise shooting B-roll of Deborah in her garden. He slowly zooms in as she stops digging and picks up a snake. The snake writhes as she inspects it, but Luis is distracted because Mia starts fucking yelling at him.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, first of all, he is working right now.
Yeah.
She's like, you're supposed to be editing. What are you doing? Just messing around or
No,
whatever.
I'm working.
You see, you can clearly see him doing something.
Yes.
She says he's wasting time. That's what she says.
Getting B-roll?
But yeah, Luis tries to explain that he was just getting B-roll of Deborah, but he turns back around and Deborah is right in front of him. She's like, I'm hungry. Are you hungry too? But before he can answer, she proposes that they get lunch and starts walking toward the house. And Luis and Mia follow her.
Did she eat that snake?
I don't know. She's like, that just wet my ass.
But if I'm being honest, it made me hungry.
Yeah.
I will say, like, they set up like 3 things in this little scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got fucking the snake and everything.
Yes.
Her just appearing.
Because she was kind of far. He
Yeah.
was zoomed in on her.
He was only getting yelled at for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But later, Luis sets up cameras all around the house. As he's setting one up at the top of the staircase, Deborah stands and watches him. She walks away, and Luis is startled by the sound of a door slamming. He climbs down from the ladder and goes to investigate the room, but it's dark, and it doesn't seem like he sees anyone inside.
I understand the need for these cameras for the Taking of Deborah Logan.
Yeah.
I do not understand the need for these cameras for the documentary they're making.
Well,
Right.
if she is... Because she's already said stuff about being forgetful and leaving the stove on. Maybe they're trying to document moments of her kind of getting lost halfway between doing something, or...
Okay.
I mean, if he's getting B-roll of her gardening, they probably want everything.
But it's a shittier quality camera.
You still look incredulous.
I mean,
it's a just-in-case camera.
All right, because I kind of thought the same thing too. I was like, what is the need?
I'm sorry, I said that and he literally shook his head. That was
I'm
really
sorry.
rude.
It was like a silent film of just disagreement.
Well, I thought the same thing too. I was like, what's the need to put up all these extra cameras?
Yeah.
I thought y'all were just interviewing them and talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but they were filming her on the street. They were filming her at the shop.
Yeah,
I
but-
think
yeah,
they're
but
trying
they're
to get
following
everything.
her.
Well, you know.
And you've got all these like
Can't be
fucking
everywhere at once.
infographics made and everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, it just feels like this is overkill. But I mean, it works well for the film because then we
Right.
have shots of creepy things later.
No, yeah.
But they didn't plan on that.
Something that I give this film is that there are a couple moments where I'm like, nah, but there's a reason for all of this to be filmed.
I will give them for like,
So I'll be damned if you're going to sit here. No, just kidding.
I'll give them like 75%.
85.
There's one moment later that is like so egregious that no joke. I'm alone watching this and I was like, why is this even a found footage film?
We'll get to it.
We will.
That night in Sarah's bedroom, Mia takes her blood pressure and the results are not good. This is the one aspect where I'm like, okay, so we're keeping track of Sarah's well-being because it seemed to be what her thesis was.
Mm-hmm. But then we kind of abandon it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, though, with good reason, because all this crazy shit is happening. Has anyone taken Sarah's blood pressure?
We're keeping a record. We have a little black book. I will say, even in this scene, Anne Ramsey is charming.
Well, she is
Like, 'cause
constantly.
she says something like, because she says about the blood pressure or whatever.
Yeah.
But what she says next, and she's like, right, guys?
Yeah.
Well, she says that stress is the real killer.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah's like, oh, don't worry about me. I plan on dying of cirrhosis of the liver. And she's like, huh?
Yeah. Fucking Rodney Dangerfield over
You
here.
guys know what I'm talking about. But suddenly there's a loud crashing and yelling coming from the kitchen. They come down to see Deborah coming toward Gavin with a knife. She's like, don't touch my fucking chandelier. He cowers away from her as Sarah tries to get the knife from her mother. Deborah screams at him, accusing him of taking her spade. Gavin denies ever having even touched it and stands on the kitchen counter.
He's like taping her
Yeah.
Well,
on his phone. I don't know if this is for World Star or what's going on.
he's like, what's your badge number? Deborah opens a cabinet and throws all the pots and pans inside on the floor, saying that she needs her spade. Finally, she collapses on the floor, screaming and crying before getting up and asking for it again. So they all split up to go look for it. Sarah tries to apologize to Gavin, who says that he is not okay.
Well, he must have watched Pulp Fiction recently because he's like, I'm pretty fucking far from okay. I was like, come on, man.
She gives them keys to check the locked rooms before going back downstairs to check on her mother. Louise checks the attic where the old switchboard still sits before being interrupted by Mia, who found the spade in the freezer. Was I the only one? The first time I watched this, I was like, she put it in the freezer to make her freak out. Just me. Okay.
You mean like Mia fucking
Yes.
sucks and she's like,
Well, the nugget of, nah, my grandfather's fine, man.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then I was like, is she
staging?
stuff to get footage of her acting out?
And then you find it?
Right. Spoiler alert. That
It's
doesn't
not.
happen. But I thought for a second, maybe, I don't know. I thought Mia was going to kind of be a villain in this, and she's not.
Well, they really set up an arc that they don't deliver on.
Yeah.
I honestly think that would have been... I think that would have been better as far as a character standpoint.
Right.
Because otherwise, she's just kind of bland and there.
I
Yeah.
understand. But I feel like to me, she would be irredeemable. Like,
oh, well, for me, she's already irredeemable.
because she told a lie.
Yeah,
She told one lie.
One lie. And we are no longer friends.
But Sarah cautiously approaches Deborah, who's standing facing a window. She says that they found the spade and asks that she talk to her. Sarah says that Deborah's scaring her, and Deborah finally whispers the words, she knows. She finally comes away from the window, screaming as she rips a piece of her throat away and collapses on the floor.
Yeah. Don't pull at your scabs.
Well, I guess
No.
I guess neck. Not her throat.
She didn't dig all
It
the
was
way
neck
in.
meat. But it was horrifying.
No.
I was not
Yeah.
expecting it.
It was honestly too much. I'm going to be honest
it
with
was-
you. Because their reaction to it is like, Sarah just like put some pressure on. He's like, hey, go call help or something.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh my God. Like, because she ripped a piece of her neck out and she's bleeding out
Bad.
currently.
Yeah.
But they kind of just treat it. And then there's stuff that happens later. It's like almost paranormal activity syndrome where it's way less than what we just saw.
Yeah.
But it should be escalating.
It was like, fuck.
Yeah, I was like, well, on night 4, she fucking ripped her neck out, so it's kind of hard to...
You got to ramp up.
Yeah.
The ramp goes up. But Sarah tends to her mother and tells the others to go get help before the footage cuts out. At the hospital, they record as Dr. Nazir quietly tells Sarah that they've reviewed the secondary scans and the disease has spread to other regions of her brain already, and that the amyloid deposits are unusually pronounced.
I do want to point out it's very similar to the problem that I had on the Mothman prophecies, where they kept saying glioblastoma instead of glioblastoma.
Right.
She literally calls the part of the brain the hippocampus instead of the hippocampus.
Hippocampus.
I'm like, are you a real neurologist, man? Like, what
No,
the
she's
fuck?
not, dude.
This is the thing.
This is a movie. I know it looks like found footage.
But I believed her. But my thing is
You're like, but it said at the beginning.
yeah, they had said this was a real medical documentary. But if you, you can't even get the name of your main character right. So what do I expect?
Yeah, no
Give him a break.
I guess I'll chill out.
Sarah asks what this means, and Dr. Nazir delicately breaks it to her that Deborah may be in the middle stages of Alzheimer's, but they are getting second opinions. Sarah is visibly surprised by this, as Dr. Nazir had previously told them that Deborah had 2, 3, or maybe even more years before this would happen. Dr. Nazir explains that the disease is aggressive, but in response, she's going to be aggressive too.
I was like, all right, can the wrestling promo. It's like, the disease is aggressive. Yo, yeah. So I'm gonna get aggressive.
Macho man now.
I was like, what is going on? Like, you don't have to do that. I understand. Like, I don't know. The doctor's the cream of the crop.
Fucking stupid. But she's getting aggressive in a way that means putting Deborah on a higher dose of diazepam and a mood stabilizer. Not the whole We cut to Sarah coming out of the hospital with Deborah, who has a bandaged neck and is being pushed in a wheelchair. The crew waits in the car, ready to pick them up. Deborah insists on sitting in the front next to Gavin, and as Gavin drives, Deborah apologizes for speaking to him the way she did, and Gavin accepts her apology. Back at the Logan home, Harris balks at the idea of Deborah being sent to a home. He says she's already got a home. Those are just places where they lie under fluorescent lights, smelling like urine and waiting to die. He says that's not a place to live, but Deborah's home is.
First of all, I think it's very critical and of...
It's like not every place,
No.
sir.
Also, did they just ambush him with the camera and they were like, they're thinking about putting Deborah in a home? What are your thoughts on that, Harris?
Like TMZ.
Yeah, what the fuck is going on? It's like, hey, Harris. It's like, calm down.
It's like I'm just doing yard work.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I'm here anytime you need me. You don't need to...
Run up on me. But we see Deborah painting a forest with a dark figure lurking in the trees. Inside, Deborah hugs Sarah and is like, I hate the shirt you're wearing.
Yeah.
She's like, why can't you wear a blouse? And Sarah's like, I don't have a blouse. But like she's like, I missed you too, Mom. Like,
Yeah. Well, in Deborah's defense, the shirt was terrible.
Anyway, Harris comes in behind Sarah, who greets Deborah with a kiss on the cheek. Later, someone records. This is when I was like, this is beyond.
Yes.
Like, this is invasive.
Yeah.
Someone records as a quietly-ish, because the door's still like, push the door open to Deborah's bedroom. She sits on her bed, staring at herself in the mirror and whispering. She says, I didn't know. Bleed. I bleed. Stop. No. Then she notices the person in the doorway and the footage goes out. They're probably like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I never understood why the reaction to being caught isn't just like, you got me.
Yeah.
Like, you running away only makes it worse.
I mean, but what do you do? You're both being creepy at the same time.
True.
Not that I would ever do this, but I can't imagine being like,
Well, what are you going to do? Run away and then deal with it later?
Yeah.
boy, is my face red.
Well, because Deborah Smart was like, hey, why were you standing outside my fucking room and then you ran away very
No,
loudly?
yeah.
No, I wasn't.
That was Lewis.
Plausible deniability.
I
is
guess.
the thing.
Well, then don't be like, oh, shit, and
Yeah.
then run away. Jesus Christ.
But we cut to old footage of Deborah working the switchboard, and Mia's voiceover says that Deborah's brain is a lot like the switchboard she used to run. Her synapses are being pulled from their jacks, losing connection. She says that as the memories are taken away, one thing becomes clear. You can't run from Alzheimer's. You can only face it head on and hope that comes with dignity and grace.
They were genuinely given the perfect metaphor with that switchboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that is perfect.
They record in the bathroom as Sarah gives her mother medicine, changes the bandages on her neck, and patiently bathes her in the tub. They film through a crack in the door as Sarah pours herself a drink, and Mia says that Sarah has clearly found her own coping mechanism. I gotta be, if I watch this documentary, I'd be like, are you
What the
fucking
fuck?
kidding me?
I didn't sign off on that shit.
I fucking let you into my home?
Yeah.
Like,
and you're spying on me? It's
You're
not enough.
recording
You
me
have
drinking.
like fucking cameras set up in the hallway and shit.
It just felt rude.
So you got cameras in the bathroom too?
Yeah, no,
Like, it's egregious.
It's a lot. Later that night on the porch, Sarah talks on the phone. She tells her girlfriend Shelly that she's getting a U-Haul and her mother isn't making things easy. After she hangs up, she admits to the crew that she just told Shelly that she's moving back home for a couple months and that she doesn't have the balls to tell her the truth. I don't know if what's the truth? The financial aspect, the documentary aspect, or the health aspect?
I think the truth
yeah.
might be that she's staying longer than she had told her girlfriend.
Yeah.
I think it might just be that she...
That's kind of what I
That's
thought.
sad.
You know?
That's really sad. But she invites them to come and have a drink with her, and they do. They all sit with her as Gavin records them. Louise says it's been a long time since he's just hung out, so this is nice. Sarah laughs and says that that's sweet, but she reluctantly shares that when she was 10 years old in 1976, her mother sent her away to boarding school. She caught her in the garage hiding and kissing another girl. Sarah says that they didn't even really know what they were doing. Tears fill her eyes as she says that her mother was so mad and embarrassed. She just dismisses the story and takes another drink. Louise proposes a toast to fucked up childhoods, and Sarah agrees.
So again, I love that she's getting more character.
Yeah.
And I love that her backstory with Deborah is so complicated.
Yeah.
But in this stage of Deborah's life, she's here.
I'm here for you. Yeah.
Like, it's beautiful.
And clearly she has a life. She has a partner. Like, she has shit to go home to, but she's here. You know what I mean?
All that despite the shitty behavior of her mom.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's remarkable.
It really is. And it, even if it were possible to like Sarah more than I do, this would have done it. Inside, though, Sarah shows a picture of herself as a child with Deborah wearing her boarding school uniform. She says that she hated it because she's never been comfortable in dresses, and Luis confesses that he went to Catholic school, and Sarah laughs, saying that Deborah will love that. There's a loud thudding sound and the electricity crackles. Sarah runs to go check on her mother, and Luis films the shaking chandelier overhead.
With what we know that this film turns into, I really thought that him going to Catholic school would matter.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
It means nothing.
But he focuses the camera back on the doorway, and we get a glimpse of Deborah walking by. Luis follows in her direction and calls after Sarah to come back. He finally finds her standing in front of the window in a dark room. A light comes on outside and illuminates enough to see that the window is open.
Did it sound like a TV or a radio was on?
It sounded like something.
Yeah.
Like it sounded like interference, and it was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was fast.
Yeah,
Yes.
dude.
Sarah startles Luis by suddenly appearing next to them and asking Deborah if she's doing arts and crafts at midnight.
Did you already call out the loudest creaking door in the history of cinema?
No.
I think that happens on the way in. I was like, this is...
Yeah.
In the history of cinema. Creaky doors need representation too.
All right, fair. Fine. You love to see him.
She tells Luis that Deborah's been convinced that there's an intruder, a man standing out in the yard. She closes the window and tells Deborah that there's nothing out there but the deer.
And she kind of like teleports into the frame.
She did. Yeah, she just appeared.
That was scary too. Like,
Yeah.
enough shit's going on.
It's like, did you inherit your creepiness from your mother?
Apparently, yeah. As she's doing little asides like David Brent to the
She's like, you
to
believe
the
this shit?
cameraman.
She
Yeah.
thinks-
Nobody's out there.
She tells Luis that Deborah had motion-activated lights put up outside. And we cut to Deborah nailing the window shut and Sarah announcing that this is not the first time she's done this. She tells Luis that she's learned to just not argue with her mother, and then the footage cuts out.
And so it's setting up, again, something more.
For
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
I really like the way that they slowly build that aspect
Yes.
of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because it begins where you're just like, wow, this disease is fucking horrible.
Yes.
Right.
And then as it goes on, you're like, wait a minute.
Hold on.
Yeah.
But we come back up on camera footage of Deborah sleeping in her bed at 1:36 a.m.
So now we're setting up paranormal activity cameras.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
there's a creak and Deborah wakes up with a panicked gasp and gets out of bed. The camera above the stairs shows the hallway at 1:37 a.m., but no one is there. Back in Deborah's room, she's gone as well. We cut to Sarah talking to the crew as they all put on their coats. She says that she got up to pee after putting Deborah to bed and now she's gone, and they all spread out to look for her. Luis goes into a room with covered furniture and sees that window that Deborah had nailed shut is now wide open with the nail sticking out of it.
No.
No.
Yeah.
He calls out to Sarah, but Sarah's already outside and finds Deborah's robe on the ground outside the window. They run into the woods and finally find her, digging in the ground with her hands and her spade. Sarah tries to grab her and stop her as Luis yells not to touch her. Deborah screams and rushes toward the camera, and we cut to Sarah having subdued Deborah on the ground.
Are we really telling Sarah not to touch her own mother?
He was, yes. Don't touch her.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck are you talking? Is this his inner documentarian kicking in? He's like, we're only
He's like,
supposed
no,
to observe.
let it play out.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? It's her mom.
Yeah. Back at the house, Mia gently washes Deborah's filthy and bloody hands in the sink. She asks Deborah questions about the temperature of the water and tries to talk to her about her late night gardening, but Deborah just stares at her. When she finally does speak, she says that Sarah doesn't like manicures and she never cleans her nails. Mia says that they'll get Deborah's nails clean and good as new, and Deborah just stares at her.
She is beginning to look a little worse for wear.
Yeah.
And it's a very gradual.
The transformation.
Yes.
Wow.
I actually read on Dread Central, they had an interview with Vincent Guastini.
Mm-hmm.
He was the special effects designer and creator for this film.
Oh, very cool.
And so he was talking about how so many of their makeups that they did were so gradual that a lot of audiences didn't realize how many were actually happening. And so they set up like stages of Deborah Logan throughout the film, and each kind of thing. No, spoiler alert.
She looks worse.
Yeah, she looks worse as things continue. But as things would go on, like they would get more and more like progressively difficult to,
Yeah.
And there's even some stuff that was left out that they had designed, but they had thought was too far.
Right.
But the thing I did think was interesting was that he had worked on Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, man.
And he had said that he had used the methods for Ellen Burstyn as a jumping off point for Deborah Logan.
That's incredible.
Right.
And you can actually see it. That film is hard to watch.
It's very hard to watch, but I feel like that's the way to do it. The gradual, like scene to scene, you might not even really notice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's like fucking masterful. I love that.
We actually saw the reverse of that in Thirst.
Yeah.
When he was looking better. And we're like, what the fuck is
And we're like, wait a minute.
But it takes you some time.
Yeah.
Just a fun fact, Vincent Guastini also worked on Dogma and Thinner.
Thinner!
You're like the champion for Thinner.
We need to cover it.
Yeah.
We need to do it soon. But I also love Dogma, but I'm thrilled about Thinner.
Dogma's better.
But later, Gavin shows Mia a monitor of footage from before Deborah left. At 2:57 a.m., Deborah stands motionless in the kitchen. Mia tries to write this off as sleepwalking, which they've seen her do before, but Gavin insists that she just keep watching. In the blink of an eye, Deborah goes from standing on the floor to standing on the stove with her spade in her hand. Mia and Louise rationalize that she must have grabbed a chair and that the time skipped, but Gavin says there's no break in the time code. If I showed this to somebody and they said that, I would probably punch them in the face.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
then
She must have grabbed a chair. Do you see a fucking chair?
Well, but then she obviously kicked the chair out of the frame.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, all in the glitch. Okay.
Look, all I'm saying is like I would believe more likely that the time code fucked up than I would believe that my mother was glitched out or my mother was remastered by Deck 9 or like I would think.
Not Deck 9.
Well, I mean, you gotta fire some shots every now and then. But I would just think that obviously something fucked up. I wouldn't believe that we literally saw her teleport onto the fucking sink.
I don't know.
We're very different people.
Yeah. The videos there, I think that was something, and it happened a few more times that kind of annoyed me. Was they're like, no, that didn't happen. It's like you see it right there.
Yeah.
And I get the timestamp thing.
Yes.
But it not breaking is what would have had me.
Yes.
Because I understand questioning. But I mean, if I'm looking at it, I'd feel very uneasy immediately.
Yeah.
I would feel after things that I had seen already.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what I'm saying.
then that, yeah.
And the window, after seeing the window,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
that's all I would need.
But I mean, I personally think
I'm calling Father
Yeah,
Karras.
if that's not a big leap to you guys.
No.
Hey, the window
I thought my
is
laundry was
open.
haunted.
well, but we just seen her nail it open.
Yeah, it's true.
Or nail
Nail
it
it
shut.
closed,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Yeah, and now it's open.
Well, I mean, agree to disagree.
That's 2 strikes.
If one more thing happens, I'm on your side. That'll be 3.
Well, hold on, friend. Later, they show the footage to Sarah, and Mia explains that the time code doesn't skip. Sarah tells them that this has to be impossible.
Thank you, Sarah.
They film as Sarah smokes a cigarette outside and explains to Dr. Nazir on the phone that this is not just normal sleepwalking. Afterwards, she sits in a chair and explains that Dr. Nazir is going to up Deborah's medication and maybe that will help. Sarah seems hopeful but a little incredulous. She takes a flask and is about to drink when Mia points out that Harris is making his way over to them. They continue to film as Sarah stands away from them talking to Harris, so they're eavesdropping again.
Yeah.
He tells Sarah to take a break from the filming and let Deborah catch her breath because it's wearing her out. Sarah says that they need the money, but that he might be right. He tells her to go back inside and take care of her mom, and he'll take care of the mess that Deborah made in the garden. He's a good friend, good neighbor.
Great guy. I'm sure that's all he.
And that's it. He's just trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the house, Deborah walks around with a laundry basket, and Sarah trails after her. Deborah seems fine.
Yeah.
She asks about her climbing up on the stove, saying that she could have hurt herself or started another fire, and Deborah is dismissive. Sarah knocks the laundry basket out of her mother's hands and tells her to take inventory of her hands and her neck. She is a menace to herself. But this doesn't faze Deborah either. She picks up her laundry basket and walks downstairs, telling Sarah to just go back to her lady friend in Richmond because she's fine. Later, they set up for an interview and Deborah grips onto her knees and hums to herself. Her hands look fine and her neck is unbandaged and seems to be healing.
Yeah.
I mean, she took a pretty big piece of neck meat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for how much time has passed and how bad it still kind of looks.
Gavin mics her and they start the interview. Mia asks how she's feeling and Deborah says that she was feeling peculiar before, but now she's right as rain.
I just want to point out that I really appreciated them hiding the cable of the lav mic.
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, man, as someone who's done and like taped a lot of these interviews, I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Filmed a lot of these interviews, done a lot of fucking stand-ups for news packages. I got to tell you, I'm running out of breath because it's like such an important thing, but a lot of people will just clip the mic.
Yeah.
And it looks
I've
so
seen that.
unprofessional.
Yeah.
Just fucking hide it in your shirt, man.
So these guys are pros.
Yes, I appreciate them. I didn't like them before, but they're slowly winning me back.
But Mia cautiously tells her that they have some footage to show her, and Sarah brings a tablet over. We don't see what's on the tablet, but Deborah reacts strongly. She asks who's on the film and comments that it's obscene, only to realize that it's her and ask why no one stopped her. What did they show her?
I think they probably showed her in the garden.
Yeah.
Okay, without her robe.
Yeah,
Because I was like, is that her jumping on the stove? Because
that's not
Yeah, that's
obscene.
not-
I was just, I understand the strong reaction, but the word obscene, I was like, what?
I think it was too, out in the garden.
Yeah, and I gotta say, is this not fucking exploitative as all hell? Like,
No, look at this.
Yeah.
You think you're fine? Look at this shit. I mean, they already acted like TMZ.
I know.
This is exploitive.
They didn't like warn her at all.
Exploitative?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's like, let's get her live reaction to that. It's like, come on, man.
But they explain that she was in a fugue state. Sarah tells her that she was stabbing at the ground over and over again with her spade and digging hole after hole and that it scared her. She tells her mother that she was sobbing when they got her inside. This makes Deborah break down and she lowers her head into her hands and begins to cry. Sarah tells her that she said she couldn't answer the phone because he was calling her. She pleads for her mother to just talk to them, but Mia proposes that they should stop. Out of nowhere, Deborah screams and lunges at Sarah. It is chaos, and she tries to flee from the room and ends up on the floor crying.
I have to say, this is probably my biggest problem with the film.
Okay.
In the text at the beginning, they said this is medical documentaries, security footage, outtakes, but they should have also said, oh, by the way, we also added music to make it scarier.
I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even clock that,
I
but you're
didn't either.
absolutely right.
Like, I can't stand music in my found footage.
No, you're totally right.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to defend this film as much as I can. I got nothing for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I really don't.
If they had put that at the beginning, I'd be like, well, at least they told us.
We added some, little zhuzh.
Yeah, just so we're trying to sell this film. But yeah, and it sucks because that's one of my favorite things. We talk all the time about how music is so good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How it adds so much tension to scenes.
But it has no place because that's not real. This is supposed to be real.
It's supposed to
Right.
be.
Yeah. But we cut to the hospital where we watch as Deborah gets a spinal tap done and it looks fucking awful. She seems to be in excruciating pain. Mia's voiceover explains that the doctors run multiple tests on Deborah to see what's causing the anomalies, but the results only give them more questions.
This had to be an homage to The Exorcist, right?
Yeah, for sure. I didn't even think of that, but
Yeah.
it has to be. Doctors stand around her in disbelief as they look at a horrible rash that's taken over the skin of her back. Mia describes it as an infection with the scaly quality. The doctors question Sarah as to what Deborah could have been exposed to while gardening, like heavy metals or pesticides.
It's like, well, she listens to Slayer every morning. But I hardly think that.
Right.
Next, Dr. Nazir sits with her and tries to give her cognitive tests to do with blocks. Deborah is combative and resistant to try, scratching at her arm the whole time, but suddenly she starts to peel up the skin and has to be restrained. It's not funny.
Jesus.
No,
Has to be restrained by doctors as she growls.
I'm only laughing because why is she made of fruit roll-up?
Yeah.
Like, how is her skin so peelable?
It's thin. She's
Yeah.
old.
Hey, that's not accurate.
Fruit roll-ups.
Jeez.
I mean, you're as much of a doctor as Nazir. I don't think that it just, look, it is a frightening visual.
It is.
But it's also like, really?
Yeah.
And also her neck meat came out like
It
really
did.
easy
Yeah.
too.
It felt like a piece.
She just
Yeah.
like picked it off like it was like an errant hair, but it was her
Right.
entire neck. Like, I don't know, man. What's she made of?
Fruit roll up.
Well, I think it has to do with something that we'll talk about later.
Right. And yeah, that's fair. I'll be
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah, shut up, T.
Sorry. But even
But
then,
it does look
like,
crazy.
it's like, holy shit. Right now, it's very confusing.
Yeah, it is. Because I thought I was like, why do you keep doing that? I was like, oh man,
It's a lot.
It looks painful.
It is a lot.
It is. And it looks good.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But holy shit.
And to think they did all that with fruit roll up. It's really amazing.
You got to use what you have. I think that was strawberry.
It tasted delicious.
Yes.
But in an interview, Dr. Nazir says that they initially suspected contact dermatitis or an allergic reaction because what's happening to Deborah's skin isn't a condition related to Alzheimer's. She says that they're bringing in specialists from Richmond to help.
I do love in this shot, you do see Mia and Lewis.
In the mirror, yeah.
It's like they're filming the documentary.
Yeah.
And so to see that, it sucked me back in as far as like submersion.
Yes.
There you go.
Back at the Logan home, someone records as Deborah sits at the piano. She plucks at it, playing notes as she looks at the camera with the sly look on her face. Deborah is noticeably more frail and more bald.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even at her best, she has, I'd say, more cranium than most people do.
Most people.
I don't know. She has a big head. She has a large head.
Well, yeah.
But it's more
Pronounced?
pronounced.
Right.
All right. I do think that this should have been the only music in the film.
You're not
Yeah.
wrong.
Is that
You're
piano?
not wrong.
Because honestly, it was frightening, and it would make sense even if it popped up in other scenes.
She played, yeah.
She
Yeah,
already
yeah.
played it once, and it's creepy.
It is.
And-
Yeah, you're not going to get an argument with me out of the music.
Yeah.
For someone who had never seen a horror film, she is taking to it
Yeah.
so well.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like just the looks that she gives, even when she was washing her hands in the sink,
Yeah.
the look she was giving Mia, I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, she probably had to play her own evil twin once.
That's
She could call on
like,
that.
oh, I got this.
But it slowly fades to black. But we get on-screen text that reads day 41 as the crew pulls up to the house at night and notices a car already parked outside the Logan home with its hazards on. The door is already open and they let themselves in, calling out for Sarah or Deborah. They hear Deborah shriek and growl and follow the sounds to an upstairs bedroom. They open the door to find Sarah and Harris holding Deborah down on the ground and trying to wrestle something away from her. Deborah fights every step of the way, and Sarah calls out to the crew to hold down her feet and yells at Harris to be gentle with Deborah. Finally, Harris pulls something from Deborah's mouth and tosses it onto the floor. In the next scene, Mia and Sarah are wrapping up Deborah's Hummel figurines, and Deborah says she doesn't understand why they're doing this, and Sarah reminds her that she likes to eat them. So I guess it was a Hummel that she was
Yeah.
trying to swallow.
Mhm. And that is excellent foreshadowing.
Yeah.
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 Also, it made me sad because after Sarah said that to her, Deborah's like, that's silly.
Yeah.
She's like, that didn't happen. It's like, man,
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
it's awful.
But we cut to Sarah moving boxes in the hallway and being startled when she moves one aside and reveals a large black snake crawling up the wall. We cut to Gavin, who has taken Luis's camera. He's like, I know you said to never mess with your equipment, but you're fucking around with snakes right now.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Dude, I hate that.
He takes his Aunt Bonnie's cross to place it on the window, and he goes into the room with the covered furniture and slowly approaches the window that Deborah had previously nailed shut. Instead, he goes over to Deborah's easel, which is covered. He takes the sheet off of it and reveals the paintings that she made. The first is the view outside of her window as Gavin reveals the next and the next. There's a shadowed figure that moves closer and closer to the window in each painting.
I do love that she arranged it like a flip book.
Well, you know, she's like in this order to be viewed in this order.
It's fun. It's an installation piece because they are obviously painted in reverse. But I was like, wow, Gavin's a badass with those finger gloves, man. I don't know. I just wrote it down for no reason.
Gavin finally walks over to the window, passing more horrifying paintings of the shadow person along the way. The window is once again nailed shut, and Gavin hangs the cross from one of the nails. He turns to see that Deborah is standing there right next to the window. In a voice much deeper than the one we know to be hers, Deborah tells him that he's letting her heat out. Just then, the window opens despite being nailed shut. Gavin backs out of the room, leaving Deborah standing next to the window.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he didn't have to throw her pictures on the floor.
No, he didn't.
She
didn't.
obviously spent some time, like you said, painting them, arranging them.
It's really just rude.
It is. And dude, I'm going to be honest, her voice scared the shit out of me.
No, that was fucking
scary.
creepy.
Yeah, because you see her there and that's scary enough. And then she's like, you're letting the heat out. I was like, oh my God.
Or what did she say? You're letting my heat out.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh, that's even
Yeah.
scarier. That she's taking ownership of the heat.
Yeah, that's her heat. Later, Gavin shows Mia the footage, understandably freaked out. She tries to downplay it, saying that a breeze could have opened the window. Bitch, this would piss me off bad.
All right, I'll...
See, this
Yes.
too. I was
Nailed
like,
shut.
Yeah.
no. This is
Was
like
the
a-
breeze a fucking tornado?
Yeah.
Like, how dare you?
That's strike 3.
Yeah.
All right.
Strike 3.
This was another one of those. I was like, no. I was like,
Well, that's just a horrible excuse.
Yeah.
Period.
She tells both Gavin and Luis that if they're really this scared of a little old lady, they can just leave. Gavin puts his foot down, saying that either Mia doubles his pay or he's walking right now.
Dude, I'm sorry, but I don't take kindly to threats like that.
No, okay, bye.
Yeah,
Bitch, what
fuck
are you
you.
going to do all this by yourself?
Good luck.
Yeah.
Gonna get a C if you're lucky.
At best.
Yeah.
When Mia doesn't say anything, Gavin puts his money where his mouth is and starts to walk out, but she stops him. Once she stops him, Luis is like, well, if you're doing that for him, I want to get double
Well,
paid
yeah.
too.
Hell yeah, dude. He's still gonna be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Deborah's bedroom, Sarah tucks her into bed and wishes her sweet dreams. Deborah doesn't respond, only stares at the camera with half-lidded eyes as the cameraman backs out of the room.
Can we talk about how they packed away the big figurines, but then on her nightstand they leave bite-sized ones for a midnight snack?
really? I didn't even see that.
Hershey's miniatures. Hummel's miniatures.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. Fun-sized Hummels. Yeah. They're literally, there's like 5 of them on her nightstand.
Yeah, I
Come on,
didn't
man.
even notice that.
That stuff like that makes me wonder if stuff was filmed out of order and
Oh,
this was
yeah.
maybe filmed before the Hummel scene. You know what I mean?
That would make more sense.
That doesn't excuse it not
No,
ending
no.
up, you
Yeah.
know, but whatever.
But still, I mean, you can't like put a black box over that
Redacted.
or blur it or something. You can't do that.
That night, we cycle through the footage of the cameras posted up around the house at 2:32 a.m. In Deborah's room, she gets out of bed and sheds her robe as she walks out of the room. She heads upstairs and sheds her clothing along the way until she walks into one of the bedrooms naked. A loud ringing goes off, waking Gavin and Luis in their room. Luis turns on the camera as Gavin searches to find where the sound is coming from. The lights aren't turning on, and Gavin takes the phone off the hook, thinking that that's what's ringing, but it's not.
I want to call out the sound design of that thing.
Yeah,
It is deep
Yeah.
and it's pretty unsettling.
it
Yeah.
is. Sarah and Mia come out of their rooms, and Sarah explains that the sound is Deborah's old switchboard, which hasn't worked in years. She goes to check on Deborah. The ringing continues, and Sarah calls up frantically that her mother isn't in her room. So they set out to look for her, Mia proposing that it's Deborah on the switchboard, which, you know, that's the first thing I would think.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I think it's a little bit before this. I just want to point out how well they do not work together.
Yeah.
Because one of them is about to head downstairs looking for Deborah, obviously, and Mia's like, where are you going? I think it was Gavin. And he's like, oh, I'm going to make a fucking sandwich. I'm like, dude, tensions are high.
That loud sound is really scary.
Yeah. Can we figure that out first, please?
But a door slams shut as they're searching, and a scratching sound starts. Sarah cautiously opens the door, and they follow the scratching sound to the closet. Sarah approaches, despite everyone whispering to her not to. She slowly cracks the door open, causing something to fall inside and startle them. But when she peers in with her flashlight, there's nothing there. So I don't know what the scratching was.
Yeah. I kind of don't want to know.
No.
Something crashes somewhere else, and Sarah calls out to Deborah. They finally find the door to the attic wide open, a door that Sarah says is never open. She asks Luis to go first, who correctly identifies how fucked it is that the brown guy's going first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he does.
Well, my thing is like, you're that afraid of your own mother?
I'd be
Shouldn't
fucking
you be? Well, it's your mom.
She's
What did they
attacked
tell
her.
him? You got the light.
Yeah.
He's like,
She's
no,
a-
fuck
she's
you.
a-
Take
That's
it.
convenient,
Yeah,
yeah.
Here, you take it.
Oh, look at this. I can hand you the
Yeah.
camera.
This is a quick fix.
Yeah. Problem solved. After you, Sarah.
Yeah. Oh, no.
But he heads up the dusty stairs, passing something that looked flesh-like and
Yeah,
bloody.
no, fuck that.
Yeah.
That's when I'd be like, you can take this camera. No,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
He finally finds Deborah operating the switchboard completely naked. Suddenly, as they watch from behind her, Deborah begins to sob and weakly ask for help. Sarah starts to cry too and whispers to her mom. Suddenly, a demonic voice comes from Sarah saying, "Oh, you ugly thing," and starts operating the switchboard, harshly putting a connector into the same jack.
Is the demon mad about the switchboard being old or something?
It's like, oh, God damn it.
This thing's ugly as shit.
You didn't even keep up with this.
It's dusty and
Electricity starts to spark and Deborah flails away from the machine. In the sparking electricity, though,
Yeah.
there is a face.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Scary.
it's coming right at you.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite a bit. It makes me think of like when they remake, but re-released The Exorcist.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
added
And
the
we're
little
putting all the-
subliminal. It's like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
Oh, fuck.
That was a face?
Yeah. Pazuzu.
The sparks stop and Mia and Sarah rush over to Deborah. Mia tells Gavin and Louise to call Dr. Nazir. We cut to Dr. Nazir examining Deborah, taking her heart rate and checking her pupils. But the entire time, Deborah is hyperventilating, gasping for air with shallow breaths. Sarah lays down and cradles her mother, crying as she tries to get her to take a deep breath and calm down. Deborah finally relaxes. Afterwards, Dr. Nazir quietly tells Sarah that Deborah's vital signs are normal and her brain is responsive. She says that Deborah really just needs rest. Dr. Nazir gives Mia a short-acting sedative, reassuring her that it's safe if Deborah needs to be restrained. It was weird to me that she gave this to Mia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wondered that too.
I didn't know if it was just because that she's also a medical student. She's like, oh yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what to do. I don't know, but like
She's just stuck in aggressive mode.
yeah,
But she said she was going to be more aggressive.
exactly. She has to. That's her whole.
She's got to stick with it.
Yeah, she's got to commit, dude.
In the attic, though, Dr. Nazir sits at the switchboard, and Sarah tells her that Deborah was only using the jack with the number 337. The doctor says that means that Deborah is trying to remember something very specific. She encourages Sarah to try to jog this memory because with someone as strong-willed as her mother, she's not going to let this go. Sarah asks Dr. Nazir if helping Deborah recall this memory will finally bring her peace. And she doesn't answer.
No.
It cuts off before she answers. I was like, that would have been nice to know, but okay.
She's like, oh,
I mean, just try it.
Yeah.
I don't
we're
know.
all out of ideas.
I just gave a sedative to a student.
Yeah.
Who claims to be?
Yeah.
I didn't check any fucking
Where are your
credentials.
credentials?
She's obviously unethical.
Right.
Yes.
Turns around. She's like, no, that was for Deborah.
Yeah.
She's like, oh,
shit.
The next morning on day 43, Gavin shows Sarah the sounds that he pulled from the camera during the switchboard incident.
I gotta say, this is one of my biggest pet peeves as far as like dialogue is concerned.
right.
Because he says to Mia and Louise, he's like, hey, remember when you told me to look into the audio? It's like, well, they, of course, remember.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't even need that. Like,
No. Yeah,
it could just be,
no.
look,
I looked into the...
Yeah.
Yeah, like, hey, I pulled the audio from the film last night.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, hey, remember the other day when we were talking about how that was really fucking weird when Deborah, like, just don't do it. I don't need that shit.
Yeah, it is weird.
It is. It's just clunky.
Yeah.
But he explains that the gibberish at the end of the recording wasn't like anything he had heard before. He had to clean up the audio, bring it down, speed it up, and then translate it online. Yeah. He plays it, which I'm like, as an editor, were you like, that's not a thing? Or
Well, I mean, it seemed like a lot.
he's like, I put the thing down, flipped it, and reversed it.
Yeah. And then for
And
it
then I
to
had
be
to
so
translate
clear.
Yeah.
And then he just said, oh, I translated it online. It's like, well, where? Did you send it to somebody? Did they like...
No, he used Google Translate.
Oh, cool. Very cool. And it does piss me off what Mia says to him.
Yeah.
Like, she just continues to be annoying because she's like, are you sure this is the right file? It's like, oh yeah, I forgot we interviewed a demon
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Whoops.
Oh, my bad. Of course it's the right file.
Yeah, that too. That was, again, I was like, no, why are you still doing this?
Yeah.
I was like, you've seen everything that's
Yes,
led up to
exactly.
this. I understand that there's some things you can probably be like, there's medical reasons or there's but the videos and
This
all.
is too much. Yeah.
it's
Come on,
like
man.
now this is a lot.
Even I'm on board.
Yeah.
And that says a lot. But he plays it, and the message is, the eternal serpent will free you, child. Be my fifth. Be my fifth. I will wash you in the river. Your blood will feed the river. Sarah asks who's on the audio, and Gavin tells her that it's her mother speaking in French. Sarah's like, my mom doesn't know French. And Gavin's like, sorry, but that's what's happening.
Yeah. He's like, well, she was doing very well last night.
Mia asks if he got this from the right tapes, like you said.
Yeah.
And Gavin gets pissed off. Sarah asks Gavin to just turn it off because that'll make everything go.
Let's not listen to it,
Yeah.
She's like, this shit's scary.
Yeah.
Someone secretly films later from behind a tree while Sarah has a drink and talks to Harris outside. She tells him that her mother was speaking French, and he tells her to let all of that go. It's like, I can't.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do that.
He accuses the crew of exploiting her for their own benefit, and he tells her that she needs to just get them out of here. If money is the issue, he'll sell his tractor or his Suburban to help. Sarah refuses, defending the crew and saying that they're trying to help, and Harris just storms off.
Harris is a good dude.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I understand, honestly, realistically, they should send the camera crew away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I want the rest of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to know what happens. Later, Gavin and Louise move a large dresser out of the way so they can get into a small storage room in the Logan house. Sarah tells him this is where Deborah's switchboard records are kept. Mia digs into a stuck drawer of a file cabinet and pulls out the records for 1971 and 1972. They look over them, but there's no information on Jack number 337. Sarah has a hard time with this. Her mother is meticulous, and there shouldn't be any missing information. There's information for 336 and 338, but the page in between has been ripped out. Louise examines the paperwork and asks if Sarah has any charcoal in the house. They do in Deborah's art room, so he takes off and returns with the charcoal and some paper. After placing the paper on top of an impression that he noticed on the page for Jack 338, he starts to shade with the charcoal, making the numbers stand out. Everyone's like, oh shit, Louise.
Yeah.
I learned to do this in elementary school.
Yeah,
And you really could have just used a pencil.
Yeah.
But the way that everybody's like, fuck.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well, I'm sure none of them were thinking about that at the time.
I
but
guess.
it is very,
I would be like, oh fuck, why didn't I think of that? But
Yeah.
they're just like, what sorcery is this?
It made me think like when your kid like draws something and you're like, lol,
Yeah.
put it on the fridge. You're like, you know.
Well, if I'm doing all this extra shit, and then when they went to go find those records, Mia had to like shove her
She
hand
did.
inside.
Yeah, she
to
did.
finally get. Now I need a triple pay.
I guess.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or at least,
absolutely.
I went
I
and
get
got
holiday
charcoal.
pay. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
It was just funny to me because he's shading it in and everyone's staring, and Gavin goes, this is some serious Scooby-Doo shit.
yeah.
Come on, man. Well, it makes me laugh because he's fucking over Lewis's shoulder and he's trying to read it as he's doing it.
Yeah.
And he goes, DJ Raj. Yeah. That's what it is. It's DJ Raj.
In 1971.
Yes.
But Louise keeps coloring until he reveals the name Desjardins. Sarah is shook. We cut to Mia looking up something on a site called Unsolved America. She reads the headline, local pediatrician thought to have killed some local girls. Some.
Just a random
I
amount.
feel like it's not a super strong headline.
No, I got to be honest. You would not do a headline like that. It'd be a lot more specific.
The girls went missing in the early 70s. Sarah says that even though she was young, she remembers the curfews and everyone looking for him. They ask if Deborah ever mentioned him before, and Sarah says no. He was infamous, though. There's even a documentary about him. She's like, I'm surprised you've never heard of him.
I got to be honest, that bothers me a little bit too.
Yeah.
You know, you're documentarians, you don't especially in this region, number one, you're going to this region to do shit. You don't know about
True.
local shit. And
Yeah,
also,
but it was from the 70s.
yeah,
like,
hey,
in
I've
small
seen The
towns like-
Exorcist. That's also from the
in
70s.
small towns like that, I feel like they don't like openly talk about shit like that.
Well, no, but I mean, you're not going to go to the watering hole and they're like, hear about Desjardins? Like, that's not going to
Yeah.
happen. But at the same time, they have a fucking documentary on YouTube or whatever that they can
on
just call up.
YouTube. It's not like this was on Discovery Plus. Like, give him a break.
Well, it might have been. It might have been ripped to YouTube illegally. What
Right.
What I'm trying to say is that I feel like it's a little, I don't want to say, because I do like the little documentary scenes we see.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I feel like it might be a little lazy to just have all the answers
A little
right here.
bit. Yeah,
Right.
I'll give you that.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't see that film? I'm surprised you never heard of that
Yeah.
film.
Pull it up. Pull it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
part
I
one,
see.
part
Yeah.
But they do pull up the documentary, which states that there were no arrests made in the spree that left 4 teenage girls dead. So I guess sum equals 4.
They had the number. I don't know.
Each of the girls had serpentine carvings on their foreheads. Parts of their bodies had been cannibalized, and rattlesnake venom was in their blood. An anthropology professor, Dr. Sheffer, played by Randall Haynes, explains that these killings were reenactments of a specific Monacan blood ritual with the symbol of the snake eating itself.
I want to do positive, negative. I very much, look, whenever you name like a killer in a movie,
Right.
you got to do well.
Yeah.
Right.
I got to say, the River Rouge child murderer.
Yeah.
That's fucking great. That is some chef kiss
Right,
shit.
right.
But according to the Monacan tribe website and all the research that I could find,
Yeah.
they don't have any fucking blood rituals. They
Well, of
never
course not.
did.
Yeah.
I looked it up. They were actually one of the tribes here whenever fucking people arrived and settled Jonestown. It was the first Jamestown. Jonestown's the
No,
cult.
Jonestown is something else.
I was like, holy shit.
Like, yeah. Like, oh my god. Jamestown, which I believe is the first colony.
Right.
But they were already here, the Monacan
Wow.
tribe.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, they weren't officially recognized as a tribe until 2018.
Because
Oh,
they watched
wow.
this.
No,
Just kidding.
no. I don't know why, but it took that long. But they're officially recognized as a tribe, and in their history, there was none of this shit.
Of course not.
Yeah.
So again, I don't understand. Just come up with, make it a cult, make it a fucking
Something.
like snake cult.
Yeah.
A snake cult.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean they have those, right?
Yeah.
Well, Mo
I'm sure they
Sislak
do.
was born a snake handler,
He
and
was-
he'll die a
I
snake
was
handler.
thinking-
I mean, I don't know.
But the host talks about the Monacan mines, which were built over a sacred cave system that feeds into the River Rouge. They say that girls were called bleeding flowers when they first began to menstruate, and they were sacrificed. The blood was then offered to a demon for immortality. The interest in the River Rouge cases came back into light when the local pediatrician, Henri Desjardins, played by Kevin A. Campbell, went missing. They described Desjardins as well-known, well-respected, and known for his pro bono work. About a month after he went missing, a paperboy told the police about a house that had a horrible smell coming from it. A man describes the horrible stench and what they saw inside, as we see pictures of snakes and tokens and imagery of Ouroboros, the snake consuming its own tail.
That's first of all the coolest name of anything
Yeah.
like ever.
I was like, I'm going to find a way to say this.
Yes, I literally
put this
wrote
in
it
here.
down.
Because they're just like, it's the snake.
No.
No, you address it by name.
Yes, put some respect on the snake.
He says that there was every kind of snake inside the house and Monacan symbols everywhere. Ultimately, Henri Desjardins was dying of Lou Gehrig's disease, and this served as his motive. The narrator goes on to explain that 5 bodies were needed to perform the immortality ritual, but they only found 4. Dr. Sheffer proposes that perhaps Desjardins started having second thoughts that prevented him from finishing it. But the narrator continues, there was a massive manhunt, but Desjardins was never found, and he became a legend. We see Desjardins standing behind a group of Boy Scouts with his face shaded beneath a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't quite get
I'm like,
that.
that motherfucker's scary.
Legend? Is that really like?
I'd say local. I'd probably say local legend or something. But
No,
yeah.
I mean like that sounds like he's heroic. It's like
Yeah, it's true. He's not a legend.
yeah, it's like,
He's
eh.
fucking infamous.
Yeah.
and-
yeah, you're right.
Like, he
Fucking
killed 4
legendary,
girls.
bro. But he says that there are rumors that he ran away to Quebec or that he committed suicide. And then the documentary just ends there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it ends with like a film reel going out.
Yeah.
I gotta say, a lot of these transitions are fucking hilarious to
Yeah.
me.
Star wife.
Yeah, because they've done a lot of like videotape static and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you filming on, man?
Why did they specifically mention Quebec? Why did they like specifically? They could have just said Canada or like fled north, but like I don't know.
And it
I'm like, then
doesn't-
go look.
Yeah,
Right.
seriously.
You know the city.
Like, oh well, he crossed the line.
He's lost now.
That's it.
But later, as Deborah eats cereal in the dining room, Mia quietly tells Sarah in the kitchen that when she got up this morning to make coffee, Deborah was standing on the stove. Sarah whispers to the crew that she's going to ask her mother about it.
Wait, again?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, no shit.
Ma'am,
Yeah, you got to stop that.
is too
Like,
much.
Mom, come on.
not the stove. But they join her in the kitchen, and Sarah asks Deborah if she remembers Henri Desjardins. He was a pediatrician around here from a long time ago. Deborah finishes chewing and finally says that the name does sound familiar. Sarah asks if he was a client, and Deborah becomes confused and admits that she doesn't know, but she thinks so. Sarah continues that he went missing about 30 years ago, but Deborah says he's not missing. He's dead.
Oh, shit. Here
Yeah.
we go again.
Sarah's like, how do you know that? And Deborah slowly says, murdered.
Well, I got a note here because she goes, murder.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mom, you got to stop
Yeah.
being so scary. I'm just trying to get to the bottom
Right,
of
my
this.
friends are never going to want to come back.
Sarah's like, murdered? And Deborah suddenly gets up and rushes away from the table. Sarah follows her into the bathroom. We cut to Mia knocking on the door, and we hear thrashing and moaning inside. Sarah runs out, asking Mia to stay with Deborah so she can go call an ambulance. Mia and the crew head to the bathroom where Deborah's laying sprawled out on the floor, and next to her mouth on the floor, and like a projectile spray, like she threw it up, is dirt with wiggling worms in it.
So this is very successful for me.
Oh,
Yes.
It's a frightening sight. There's even some like
On the toilet, yeah.
It's a lot. Did you know that it was supposed to be way worse?
No.
In the original plan and even what they brought to set to do, like they even made an apparatus for it. You had said about the bleeding flowers.
Yeah.
It was supposed to happen in the conversation at the table.
Uh-huh.
She had a blood pack in her crotch that was supposed to explode.
Oh my
wow.
God.
That was like the bleeding flowers.
Yeah.
And then she was supposed to like vomit all over the place with the dirt and the worms. But the machine that they had malfunctioned and it exploded everywhere and covered everyone in dirt and worms.
Oh my God.
I read this on Horror News Network, and Robitel said that it ended up that they just did it in the bathroom that way, and it's just better.
No, yeah.
I was gonna say I feel like it's more successful
Yeah.
because that is a fucking lot.
Yeah, to like everywhere. Like, come on,
It's a lot.
And again, it's the horror of the noises and what you don't see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It just works better.
But we immediately cut to Deborah being sedated in the hospital, and it is day 45. Watching her from behind glass, Dr. Nazir consults with another doctor, Dr. Leader, played by Lee Spencer, who thinks that Deborah's symptoms are indicative of split personality disorder.
Which is not.
The term?
No.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure he would have said dissociative identity disorder, but go off.
They even used to in the olden days.
Yeah.
Multiple personality disorder. Are you a doctor, ma'am?
Yeah.
What's going on at this hospital? Hippocampus.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, we're looking at scans of her Brian.
It's like, are you guys okay?
Yeah, it's
We're
not
not
even
coming
real.
here anymore. But he admits that that doesn't explain the skin issues, but they're still running tests about that. Standing behind them and taking all this in, Sarah finally gives her input. She puked fucking earthworms.
The look on her face is priceless.
She's like, are
Yeah.
you fucking kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
They give the explanation that Deborah is a gardener and she has tried to swallow things before, which is true, but y'all clearly did not see all the
I was
soil
gonna
and
say,
fucking...
I'd be fucking mad.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
be like, for real, dude?
I mean, if you're thinking logically, you're like, well, putting all the pieces together, she probably ate some worms and dirt.
Right.
Didn't agree with her.
It hurt her tummy a little bit.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense than what's really going on.
Yeah.
But this pisses Sarah off. But before she can react, they hear chaos happening in Deborah's room. Someone yells at a man that he can't be here. And when the camera pans over, we see that Harris has rushed into the room and is being pulled away from Deborah's bed. Louise is filming and he's like, oh, that's her neighbor Harris. It's like, we know, Louise.
Why?
Later, Louise sets up a camera in Deborah's hospital room. And from 5:18 to 6:15, we watch Deborah sleep until a nurse comes in to check on her. Her vitals are checked without incident. I was like, that nurse is about to get it.
I think that might have been false tension.
Yeah.
Because I was very scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back at the Logan house, Sarah tells Harris over the phone that Deborah obviously knew Desjardins. She tells him not to bullshit her because it's clear that he was her client. She starts to yell at him, saying they did what they did because Nazir advised them to. Deborah was obsessed with Desjardins and speaking in French. Finally, she hangs up on Harris.
I gotta be honest, I thought that I was starting to have theories about Harris.
Yeah.
And it ends up not being at all what I thought.
Yeah.
But I thought he was going to get off the phone. He was going to be like, calm down, mon ami.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. It's you. But no. I swear I thought that was my theory. But no.
He's just Gambit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit. Back in the room with the computers, Mia tells Sarah that they thought Harris was being shady to protect Deborah, but maybe it was to protect himself because he's a Frenchman.
Yeah.
Apparently. She shows her an article that they found detailing the fact that Harris was taken in for questioning twice. Eyewitnesses saw him skulking around Desjardins' home and the crime scenes. We see flashbacks of Harris interacting with Sarah and Deborah as Mia unveils her theory. Gavin is skeptical, but she posits, just maybe, Harris wanted to protect the girls and murdered Desjardins. We see Harris and Deborah gardening as she continues. His best friend, Deborah, covers for him and buries a secret so deep within her mind that only the disease could bring it out. I mean, I feel like it's a solid theory.
That's not too bad.
Gavin says that Desjardins isn't declared dead. He's just missing. It's like, okay, and like that doesn't mean anything.
I was like, you just talked to him on the phone.
Yeah.
I was still really married to that theory.
Sarah has reached her limit and asks everyone to just stop and order some food for dinner. As they start to argue about what to order, there's a loud booming sound outside.
This is where I was like, maybe you should have written dialogue instead. Because Mia goes, find somewhere salad. I'm like, what
Yeah.
is this?
He's like, yeah, there's a fucking salad out here.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
And Gavin, of course, just has to be an asshole.
Yeah. It's a salad emporium.
Yeah.
It's like, I couldn't even get Starbucks.
But they peek out of the window and the boom happens again, accompanied with a blast of light. Everyone realizes that the sounds are gunshots and they hit the deck as Sarah says that there's a man outside in the yard. And I'm like, the man that Deborah's been painting?
Yes.
They creep into the living room and turn off the lights. When they look outside, they see that it's Harris. He's shooting up the crew's van with a shotgun. They yell at him to stop, but he doesn't, and Gavin calls the police. The camera cuts out, and when it comes back up, they're peeking through the window and the cops are there.
This, for me, also kind of has no payoff.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Like, in my head, Harris is Desjardins, and he's fucking up their van so they can't leave.
Right.
None of this is accurate.
No.
Sheriff Tweed, played by Tanya Bloodsworth, approaches Harris, who's affable and drunk. He leans up against the front of the house, still drinking. When she asks him what's going on, he laughs, telling her that he was trying to have some target practice when their van got in the way.
He's got jokes.
Yeah.
He's happy as fuck.
He is.
She asks what he's had to drink tonight, and he says just a couple beers. She takes his gun away from him and puts his arm around her shoulder, helping him to the cop car. Inside, she tells Sarah and the crew that Harris is going to sleep it off in the drunk tank and that they're more than welcome to press charges. Gavin is like, fucking absolutely, I'm pressing charges. But Mia says it's not necessary. She'll take care of getting his windows fixed. I don't know. Mia's fucking made of money. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. The sheriff says to just let her know whatever they decide to do. We cut to Sarah and the sheriff outside, and Sheriff Tweed says that there are rumors in town that Deborah's been hurting herself, and she asks if there's anything that she can do. Sarah makes a joke that she can move in with them. It's just her and her mom living there, but it helps having the crew around.
I think they kind of had a missed opportunity here.
Yeah.
I would have loved if the sheriff was the girl that she got caught
Yeah.
kissing.
I literally rewound it because she says the little girl's name.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then so I'm like, oh my God, that would be so like cute. It's,
Right,
it's
right.
not. It's a
Yeah.
completely different name.
Because they're really relaxed with dude being out there drunk and shooting.
Yeah.
Yes.
shit. I
and
mean,
there's like a chemistry or something. I don't know.
Like they've known each
yeah,
other.
yeah.
Well, because even later she's like, look, you've known me or something
Yes.
like
Yeah.
that. I thought that would have been really cute. And I was like, oh, I totally missed that. And
Yeah.
I went back and no, I didn't.
Yeah.
I was really bothered because I was like, man, not only does that make it more important for Sarah,
Right.
later on, it would be much more impactful.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it would.
Oh,
but
yeah.
instead, it's just like, oh, yeah, it's just some random sheriff. Okay.
Yeah. But the next morning, the crew stands outside and Gavin yells at Luis to get the camera out of his face as he gets in the van. Mia disparages him for starting a project and leaving in the middle over a window. Gavin's like, it's not only the window is the
Yeah.
icing on a shitty cake.
See, Mia is trifling.
Yeah.
That's fucking unacceptable.
Yeah.
You know this wasn't about a window.
No.
Yeah.
That's the least of his worries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He reminds her about the window opening and closing, the switchboard, Deborah levitating onto a counter in the kitchen. He warns Luis that this is his last chance because the train is leaving the station. But Luis tells him he needs this paycheck and that Gavin does too.
Mm-hmm.
Gavin responds with a fuck you to both of them and drives away. I was waiting for a pivotal moment for Gavin to ride in and help people. We never see this motherfucker.
Well, see, this is what I did like.
Yes.
Was that.
Yeah, he's like, it's too spicy for the pepper.
There.
Uh-huh.
Like, honestly, if I'm going in doing some student film shit or some anything, and then shit gets to, and I have that chance to leave.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
You hired me for this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we're cool, but we're not that cool.
No.
And you've seen all the same shit that I just seen.
Uh-huh.
You witnessed the same shit that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've all been here together. This isn't some group psychosis shit or whatever.
No.
I'm gone. You
And
can
it's-
come or you can stay.
It's very much Blair Witch Project because this is not the project we signed up for.
No, not at all.
So
No.
if we have the chance to get out of the woods, let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I did think that his horn was insult to injury.
Yeah. That,
I don't know what that song is, but it was the. I was like, come on, man. That's
I was
excessive.
like, what the fuck was that?
Back at the hospital, Mia and Louise go into Deborah's room to find her bed empty, and Mia rushes away to find Dr. Nazir. On hospital surveillance cameras at 3:01 a.m., we see Deborah wandering around the pediatrics ward. Mr. and Mrs. Minetti, played by Dave Blamy and Melissa Lozoff, cry as they tell police officers that when they came back into the room, their daughter was gone. Mrs. Minetti says she doesn't understand why that woman did this, and the officer assures her that the hospital is locked down and they believe Deborah to still be in the building. But on the surveillance, we see Deborah entering the East Wing with their daughter, Cara Minetti, played by Julianne Taylor.
Now, again, this is where I start feeling like, why does this have to be found footage? I understand the budget. It's a lot cheaper to be found footage, but now Luis rocks up to the hospital and he's like, ooh, these parents, and he fucking films that.
Yeah.
Gets perfect sound on it. Like, there's a lot.
Well, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's true. I'm
You know?
just like, oh, fuck, where'd you take the little girl?
Yeah. I think that's, to me, it was kind of hard to kind of stay in that.
Yes.
So I didn't mind the music when there was, because I was like, okay, half of this is found footage and half, but it's not.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, I was like,
Well,
I
they
don't know what's happening.
They bolstered it with security footage. They did
yeah,
say that.
but
But I mean, I've seen films where it's like partially found footage.
Right.
You can do that.
yeah.
That's fine.
Well, you know what? Ooh,
No, I don't.
shut up.
When that's your defense,
That's all I got.
I know that I've won.
The crew, Sarah, Dr. Nazir, nurses, and officers hear on the walkies that Deborah was seen leading Cara into the abandoned wing in the hospital, possibly to the kitchen. It's funny because they're wandering into the dark kitchen and the walkie's like, she was seen entering the... It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we got it.
They wander into the kitchen with their flashlights because there's no electricity here anymore. They call out to Deborah and get a loud thud in response. Sarah asks who Cara even is and why Deborah would bring her here, and Dr. Nazir admits that she doesn't know, but Deborah had whispered something to Cara to get her to follow her. They hear a whimper, followed by another loud thud. They continue to search until Dr. Nazir finds Deborah and Cara. They both stand in what looks to be an old walk-in fridge with their backs to the door, holding hands and facing the wall. Dr. Nazir cautiously approaches Deborah with the syringe readied. She calmly tells her that she knows Kara's her friend and she can come visit her whenever she likes, but she needs to let go of her.
I thought she was dead.
Yeah, me too.
I was like,
Well-
Dr. Nazir is out.
Yeah. Well, this is the same fridge they just checked.
Yes.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I forgot about
Oh,
that.
that's scary. She successfully takes away Cara, who looks very, very sick. We learn later that she's a cancer patient.
She looks asleep as well.
Yeah, she like dazed at least.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't have to use the syringe. Deborah slowly turns around and glares at them. We cut to her being restrained and tied to her bed while she screams and fights. She babbles in an unknown language until she sobs and succumbs to the sedation. She's like, mon ami, mon ami.
Yeah, she's not having a good time.
Don't hold me, mon chéri. I think, or unhand me or whatever. I think that this is very successful to me because the way that they're cutting back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like, okay, one cut for Deborah, one cut for Desjardins.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
cut. It's very,
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Good point.
and her performance.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
But in the next scene, Sarah talks with Father Vitale, played by Jeffrey Woodard. He tells her that he can bless Deborah with oils, but an exorcism really is in the realm of science fiction and just not feasible.
The Catholic Church is the one that has.
Yeah.
But that's y'all's thing.
Yeah, I've seen films.
Tearfully, Sarah says that she used to think the same thing, and she still might, but they've tried everything else. We see surveillance of Deborah writhing in her hospital bed, still in her constraints, before going back to Sarah and Father Vitale. He tells her that exorcisms are something that they just won't do, but Sarah says he has to have a mentor or know someone who will. He tells her to just accept her mother's condition, but Sarah is adamant that there's something else going on.
He kind of sucks, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, why did we even have the scene? Because he's like,
shit.
you're lame as fuck. I'm like, thanks for the comfort. He's like, look, fucking get over it, okay?
Yeah.
Like,
and he's drinking fucking coffee.
Yeah.
I don't know why it pissed me off to see him drinking like maybe because I
see
love
him
coffee and
hydrating
I'm really upset about what he's doing here. But it really bothered me. I don't know.
But we cut to footage of Harris in the crack of a door. He sits next to Deborah's bed and cries. Mia's like, what is he doing here? It's like he's not allowed to come visit his friend.
No,
Yeah.
but again, he just fucking shot up.
But she literally said he was just going to spend the night in the drunk tank. They weren't keeping him.
I mean, I get it's a small town, but you're openly discharging a firearm into a vehicle and you're drunk.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're out the next day.
Apparently.
That's just Harris.
Yeah.
But Sarah says he's been coming for the last couple days and to just give him space. That night, as Sarah smokes a cigarette outside the hospital, Mia tells her that she got in contact with Dr. Sheffer from the Desjardins documentary. In the next scene, they're in his office. After watching a video of Deborah, Dr. Sheffer gives his theory. Deborah has become so obsessed with the local boogeyman of Desjardins that she believes she really is him. Sarah says it's more than just that, and that's why they've come for help. And he finally offers that some cultures believe in spiritual parasites.
I would be a little offended that that's what he thought.
Yeah.
He's like, wow, that's crazy, bro. It's like, what the fuck?
It's like she obviously caught my documentary on YouTube.
Right.
And
Have you
she's
guys seen it?
obsessed.
But he says when a mind is weak, it is susceptible to invasion of vengeful entities, particularly among the very old, the very young, and the infirm. He says that when he lived with the Bantu, he knew a mother who lost her son to typhoid. She was so overcome with grief that she held on to his corpse for over a month. He shows heartbreaking pictures of the mother as proof. He says that he couldn't help her and she succumbed to madness, taking on her son's voice, mannerisms, and personality, becoming him. It took 2 months to break the spell. This kind of threw me off because it was an infant,
Oh, that's right.
but
Yeah.
his voice and his mannerisms and right?
Mannerisms of an infant. Was she shitting herself?
Like, nah, I don't know.
I don't know.
It was. I feel like if the child was older, it would have made more sense because
Yeah.
they did say an infant, right? Or did I?
I don't remember what they
Assume
said.
that.
I'm taking your word for it because I trust
Well, I
you.
saw in the photo she's holding a baby.
Oh, well then that doesn't make any sense at
Yeah,
all.
I don't know, but anyway, we're not gonna look too close. But he says it took 2 months to break the spell. Sarah asks how it was broken, and Dr. Sheffer says that a witch doctor came and burned the boy's body. Purification by fire.
They put way too much stock into this.
Yeah.
Like,
They have nothing else.
fine.
They have nothing else to hold on to. It's like, we're about to burn this bitch down. Like, what else can we do?
I don't know, talk to a third person?
Yeah.
No, we don't have time for all that. Sir, it's day 60.
Oh, that's true. Dude, 2 months we've been...
Yes.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It cuts off and we come back on day 60 in Deborah's hospital room. Harris enters and watches over her before undoing her shackles. She weakly tells him to shut the door and he's like, you got it, boss. He goes over and they hold each other. He whispers to her that they don't have to do this, but she weakly responds with the request that he kill her. Harris grabs a pillow, again, you got it, boss, and brings it down hard on Deborah's face, smothering her. She tries to fight him, but he holds her down. But the TV it's not funny. I'm sorry.
No, it looks funny.
TV in the corner begins to shake until it flies across the room and hits Harris in the back of the head.
That thing is shaking like nuts.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
it is.
you don't. Like, I don't.
This is again another point that I was like, this doesn't need to be found footage.
Yeah.
The fucking here's the thing. you see from 3 different angles this entire scene.
There's a lot of cameras.
No, that's the problem. You get a view from her nightstand at her at the bed.
Right.
But when we get the wide shot, there's no camera on her, unless her lamp is a fucking camera.
Yeah.
Do you know how small they can make cameras nowadays?
This is 2014.
They had it in the pin on her nightstand.
Really? There was no pin on her nightstand. Interesting, Nate. There was not one. Yeah, I inspected
Right,
the
the
shit
little
out of it.
figurines were still there.
Yeah. It's in the eye of one of the Hummel figures, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. You can have it. This could have been effective from one angle.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that because dude only did put that one camera in there and that was it.
Yeah.
Listen, what I will say is stuff like this really annoys me on found footage films, but I didn't even notice half of this when I was watching it. So I feel like that I have to give credit to the film for that. You're like, well, I fucking know that.
I think my thing is, and we talked about this every found footage film we've covered.
Yeah.
I have that set of criteria.
Yeah.
Why are you still filming?
Yeah.
Who's filming? And how did this footage get to me?
Right.
And they've got a couple of those answered, but a lot of times they just don't need to be doing all that they're doing. And it only creates problems for, fucking assholes like me.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
But when the crew arrive at the hospital, there are fire trucks outside, and Louise rushes to the door, saying that Dr. Nazir told them something happened to Harris. Sarah rushes into a room where they're prepping Harris for surgery. She lies and says that she's Harris's daughter and asks for just a moment with him before they take him in. The nurses run off to get security. It's funny because she's like, thank you, you're a sweetheart. And the nurse is like, security. Yeah. She grabs him and lowers her ear to his lips, telling him to hurry with whatever he has to tell her. He weakly says that Deborah heard Desjardins on the switchboard and that Sarah was going to be the 5th victim. Who was he talking to?
I don't know.
He's like, listen, I'm about to get that Sarah Logan. It's like, who are you talking to? They were going to take her to the caves at Monacan Mill. She asks if Harris killed Desjardins, but he says that Deborah did, in the neck with her spade in the conservatory. No, just kidding. He says that they buried him alive, but he begins to cough so badly that he can't answer anymore. Sarah's promptly taken away by security, and Harris calls after her. The statue!
Yeah. Now, it made me laugh because they did conveniently get B-roll of that statue earlier. It meant nothing to them then, but I did want to say that I feel like him being Desjardins would have been more satisfying than this reveal. To me, the fact that he's just her father, that's cool and all.
He's not her father. Her father died.
She called him dad.
She lied
so she
to
could
be
talk
able to
to
talk to
him.
him before surgery.
Was I not paying attention?
No.
Because I thought that too, and then I rewinded it, and I was like, oh, okay.
I think the first time I watched this, I thought that was a twist. But no, she's like, I'm his daughter. I need to talk. That's how she gets in. And the nurse is like, security.
Yeah.
Can I tell you why I probably wasn't paying attention?
Why?
Because in my head, I was thinking about whenever... This is so stupid.
God.
When the TV hit him and then he survived later, I was thinking about in Scream when Stu got hit with the TV.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking of...
Bring him back.
Yeah.
Bring him back
I was
for
like,
6.
if fucking Harris is out here, like, I always had a thing for you, Deb. And then he's fine. In the next scene, I'm like, well, maybe Stu could be back. And then I'm like, is she calling him Dad? That's her father?
When you came back online.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow. Probably should have been paying attention.
Yeah, no, it was a lie.
Oh, okay.
Also, he says that Deb killed him with her spade, and then he's like, we buried him alive. It's like, wait.
No, you didn't. Well, he just got clocked in the head, dude.
He's like, I don't know what the fuck's happening.
Yeah.
I might be Desjardins.
It would have been more satisfying.
Whatever's a better ending. That's
It
what's
would
happening.
explain why I shot out that kid's window.
But we cut to them running in the woods by the Logan house that night. Sarah finds the small statue on the ground with loose dirt underneath it. She starts to dig it up, and Mia and Louise are like, this is crazy, man. But she screams at them to just help her. Mia does immediately, and finally Louise puts his camera down to help too. He does admit that the soil feels different, but they still think that Harris is just an old man saying crazy things.
Dude,
Come on, man.
unbelievable.
Despite the fact that they haven't found anything, Sarah is still convinced. Just when they're about to give up for the night, Sarah's shovel hits something hard. Using her hand, she digs the rest of the way to find Deborah's spade. They buried that fucking spade deep,
Yeah.
man. Like, I thought it was going to be the body.
Yeah, me too.
But nope. She says that Deborah got here first and they rushed to the house.
I just want to point out.
I don't know when that happened.
Yeah.
No, she said, yeah, that's also an issue. But, well, she's fucking jumping on countertops and shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
She can do
teleported.
whatever she wants.
Yeah.
But Sarah says she got here first. And Mia says, who?
Yeah, that I have that right here. I was like, how dumb are you, dude? Are you what the fuck have we been doing this whole time?
The entire film.
Yeah.
She's like, and you,
Yeah.
and who might you be?
Right. We have the grant money. Can
Yeah.
we start? It's like, what the fuck?
Did you get hit with the
Yeah.
TV?
She blocked it all out.
Like,
man.
it's just
too much.
unbelievable.
But they rush back to the house. As they search, Sarah explains that Deborah is a hoarder and has a place for everything. Desjardins' body is here somewhere. She says he's in control of her and that he had her dig him up and keep his body. I feel like she's taking some leaps here.
Yeah, I was going to say, because
Okay.
they're like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, maybe explain a little better, dude.
They find nothing at first, but Deborah notices a huge wet stain on the ceiling by the attic door.
I thought that was the actual corpse just
Yeah,
up there.
Yeah.
I did too.
I was like, there's a corpse shaped,
I think I might have found it, guys.
but I was wrong again.
But she remarks that it shouldn't be wet because it hasn't rained. She pulls down the attic ladder and they climb up, making Luis go first again. Mm-hmm. As he does, he's like, white people in their basements and attics, before remarking how bad it stinks. They find something wet on all the boards and slats before finding a burlap bag.
So what was the stain?
I don't know. It
Yeah.
It honestly looked like the jelly from fucking the Blair Witch. I really don't know what it was. I guess blood. I don't know.
All right.
Because Mia touches it and Luis is like, don't fucking touch that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even if it's, blood doesn't make any sense either. Desjardins been fucking dead.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was wet.
Okay.
It kind of
That's my
seemed
answer.
like, I guess, like the ectoplasm from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I was like,
Slimer?
what, yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Because
She did say she's a hoarder.
I thought that too. I was like, the body's right there. When they
Yes.
open it,
Yeah.
it's going to fucking fall down or something. Nope.
Not at all. Is that concentrated evil?
Yeah.
Yes. But they pull out the burlap bag, unearthing even more stench. Sarah peels the bag open and screams at its contents inside. It's Desjardins' body. I'm assuming decomposed because the bag is quite small.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Now, but then now I'm also confused because did they fit him for a tiny bag? And they're like, well,
They're like, look,
eventually
this,
when
is
he,
all, this is all we have on here.
he'll fit later.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Mia refuses to touch it, but Sarah says she will because they have to do this. She's like, I can't fucking thank you enough. Like, it's so, I don't know. I just love her so much. And then they rush back downstairs.
Yeah, but she's like, help me. And she's like, no.
Well, she's like, I'm not touching it.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll touch it. Just help me burn it.
Now, it made me laugh because it is very heartfelt when she thanks them.
Yeah.
But we can do that later.
Yeah.
Sarah sets the body in front of the fireplace. After determining that Dr. Sheffer said the body needed to be burned, which is like,
Yeah.
that was 2 minutes ago. Sarah and Mia start to set up the fireplace. They're stopped, though, when a hissing sound starts to come from the bag. They move the bag to reveal several black snakes. Now, like I said, I am rewatching Dexter.
Yeah.
And, they do the little, recap, in every episode.
Yeah.
In season 5, there was a body that they cut it open and snakes came out. And
Yeah.
Deb goes, holy frankenfuck,
Yeah.
snakes! So, I literally, I could not stop. That's all that was playing in my head.
Well, I love Jennifer Garvinter, but it's very funny to me to think that a person would have Frankenfuck on their brain to use in that moment.
I would even wager that nobody would ever. I would bet that would never happen. But as soon as those snakes came out,
That's
I've
where-
even put in my script, holy frankenfuck.
Hey, well, it was in your brain to say.
It was.
If it ever
Well,
happens in
goddamn
your
it.
life, yeah. You got it in the chamber.
But they scoop everything up and throw it into the fireplace. Sarah and Mia try hard. Mia even getting sprayed in the face with lighter fluid, which didn't seem
No.
like that was
Yeah.
scripted. I laughed.
Yeah. Sarah was like, I'm sorry.
She's like,
That
"I'm
was- Yeah. It was more, Anne was like, I'm sorry.
But for a long time, nothing happens. The fire finally takes and they all turn to leave. But a blast comes from the fireplace, throwing Sarah, Mia, and Luis across the room.
Something's wrong and I'd like to leave. Gavin's like, you
Yeah,
come,
Gavin, come pick me up.
Seriously.
Come pick me up. I'm scared.
I did laugh because I think Luis thought they solved it all.
Yeah.
Because he had like an action hero tone. He goes, let's get the fuck out of here. It's like, no. And then it explodes. So I was like, no.
They run outside, and Sarah says that something put out the fire and the body didn't burn. From the porch, they see someone, Deborah, a figure, I don't know, something, standing in the window, and they run into the woods.
I assumed it was Desjardins
Yeah.
That makes sense.
because it's very shaky cam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But you see someone.
Oh, yeah. It looks, and just for that small second, it looks creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
It does.
I agree.
But Sarah's phone starts to ring, and when she answers, she's told that Deborah has broken out of the hospital. She runs back to the house to get Desjardins' body out of the fireplace.
Was it with the explosion that we got that subliminal Ouroboros?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was another one that I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
That got me.
I had paused it and I accidentally landed right on that.
No
At
shit.
the flash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I saw when the electricity is popping, I saw that with my naked eye.
Yes.
I did not see this. He paused it right on it, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. I was like, oh, shit, what is that?
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
But Sarah busts into the hospital, and although Dr. Nazir and security try to keep her from her mother's room, she pushes her way in to find blood all over the bed, kind of in the shape of Deborah. Mm-hmm. Dr. Nazir tells her that the security guard downstairs is being treated for anaphylactic shock due to snake venom.
Okay.
Holy Frankenfuck! We see footage of Deborah writhing in her bed at 2:31 a.m. before removing her hand from the restraint. Sarah talks to an officer as Mr. Minetti screams at another officer asking where his daughter is. Why did you leave the room again?
Yes. Was nobody watching this
Yeah.
We're going to
Oh
another
my
hospital.
God.
Like I don't know what can be
We're,
done.
Yeah.
we're going to another hospital and we're suing this hospital.
Yeah, it's either her or us. Like, I don't know.
I do want to point out that when you say she removed her hand from the restraints, she literally removed her hand.
Yeah.
Because she degloved herself.
Oh, fuck. I don't even think I saw that.
Yeah, because she's made a fruit roll up now.
Yeah.
Did Mike Flanagan have anything to do with this?
Not a fan of hands.
He hates hands. But we see footage of Deborah and Kara standing in front of a security guard at the rear exit. He tries to stop the two of them, but Deborah bites his neck, and when he falls to the ground, she leaves with Kara. So she snake venomed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, she gave him a hickey and he died? I was like, what happened?
He's like, oh, God, I can't.
He's like, I'm too turned on. It's like, I don't know.
Guys, it was over quick.
It really
like,
was.
That was it?
Was anybody else surprised that she's like a snake now?
Yeah.
A little bit. But,
like,
a lot of shit's happening to you. I can't really
It's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
stop to dissect every piece of it. She's Deborah, she's Desjardins, she's Snake. It's a lot,
It's,
okay?
snake.
Outside, an officer tells Sheriff Tweed and Sarah that Deborah stole a car from the hospital parking lot. Which, like, I know that it makes logical sense, but the fact of her, like, hot wiring this car was really funny to
Yeah.
me. Instead of just, like, showing up where she ends up or walking, the car thing made me laugh.
Well, I did learn on a nature documentary that snakes are really good at stealing cars. So it all
it makes sense then.
Yeah.
So come on.
Sarah tells the sheriff that they go back a long way and she needs her to trust when she says that she thinks Deborah went to Monacan Mill. In the car, Sarah tells Mia that she has to complete the ritual with the fifth girl. He's going to the cave system. Mia says that she's going to fill the syringes given to her by Dr. Nazir as they come up to an abandoned car, which is the stolen car.
Right.
Sarah deduces that Deborah has gone forward on foot, which bang up job.
Yeah.
With police help, they pull up on Deborah and Kara, holding hands with their backs to the cars. They get out and approach slowly, led by Sheriff Tweed, who calls out to Deborah. Kara is turned to face them, but she's in a trance. She calmly tells them, don't hurt him. He's a nice man. He's going to wash me in the river. She keeps repeating this over and over. It's fucking creepy.
Yeah.
I love this song.
He's a nice man.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I just put a beat behind it, man.
Calmly and slowly, they place cuffs on Deborah's bleeding hands, and everything seems good until Deborah starts to spit something at the officers. I'm assuming venom.
Yeah.
One goes down with his face burning. Deborah fights them and gets away. And when Sheriff Tweed says someone needs to get the wounded officer back down the mountain, Mia tells Luis that it has to be him because she can't leave Sarah.
I
Character
understand.
arc.
Yeah.
Character arc.
Yeah.
It's
Development.
fine. I do think that her pleads are a little hilarious.
Yeah.
Because she's like, it's got to be you, man.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Why is she a stoner now? But I did appreciate that she was kind of turning around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she has kind of been awful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But in disbelief, he complies. He's like, I can't fucking believe this shit.
Yeah. Well, but in all fairness, he's been leading the charge on everything
He
they've
has.
done.
Yeah.
And so it's good that we know that he is definitely going to survive.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He hands the camera over to Mia and assists the officer back towards the cars. Sheriff Tweed, Sarah, and Mia continue calling after Kara and Deborah. With the light of the camera, they realize that they're at the River Rouge mentioned in the Desjardins documentary. And it like comes as a surprise, but it's like, well, duh, you're at the fucking river.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
came to the mill. Like,
Yeah.
I'm confused.
And you knew you were going to the cave.
Yeah,
Because
whatever.
Mia, she's like, is that the River Rouge from the documentary?
Yes, bitch.
Like, yeah. No, it's a different river.
But they finally find bloody footprints leading into a building. Tweed tells Sarah that she's going inside to get Deborah. Now alone, Mia confesses to lying at the beginning of all this. She lied about her grandfather. Sarah's like, I don't give a shit. You're here now. Which Sarah's
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate
You
Sarah.
bitch, get down the road. Like, what are you
Because I mean, what is she supposed to do? And a lot of good that does now. Honestly, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Either.
Honestly, yeah.
Like, you've been lying to me for 2 months.
Either.
You're just sad because you're about to die and you're trying
You
to
gotta get
unburden
it off here, yeah.
I'm trying to get into heaven, so
I lied.
I lied.
He said New Zealand. I'm from New Zealand. But yeah, Sarah tells her that she doesn't give a shit. They peek through the window as we hear the sheriff call out to Kara. Suddenly, a gun is fired and a bullet breaks through the window next to them. And fearing for Sheriff Tweed, Sarah and Mia head inside. Shortly after entering the mill, they find Sheriff Tweed in a pool of her own blood with snakes around her. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay,
I guess
she's
that's
dead.
it. Is that just her calling card to leave snakes
Yeah.
at the crime scene?
Holy frankenfuck. They run into the cave system and the light begins to flicker on and off. Mia is in a panic and Sarah tries to calm her by giving her the camera back so she can have the light. And when it comes back on, Sarah is gone. Mia hears Kara screaming and runs in the direction of the sound to bump back into Sarah. They find the cave where they've hidden, but Mia refuses to go in. Sarah says that if they don't, Kara's gonna die. And she's like, just give me the fucking camera and I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
Mia does follow though, and Sarah cautions not to touch anything or the cave is gonna collapse. Great.
Yeah.
This just keeps getting better.
She's like, it made me laugh because I was like, well, she's like, I used to be a miner. And then I was like, well, we kind of all used to be miners. If you think about
Yeah.
Minors.
Yes. But I do think that there needs to be more mind-based horror.
Yeah.
Right.
They're inherently creepy
They're
places.
so
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
scary.
My Bloody Valentine, the good one, not the...
Right.
Yeah.
But they crawl through the tiny tunnel and it's filled with snakes before they make their attack. She's like, get the fuck out of this. They're just like hitting the snakes.
Snake's like, hey, I live here.
I goddamn live here. But they come up with a plan. Sarah is going to inject Deborah with the sedative. Deborah will be out, so Desjardins will be weakened and they'll be able to burn his body. This is a lot of guesswork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
Barely.
Yeah.
I mean, none of this makes sense.
No,
but
that's true.
In the rules that have been set, this makes sense. Mia's job is to grab Kara away from Deborah. First, though, they turn the light off so Deborah can't see them coming. Our view switches to night vision, and Sarah readies the syringe as they come up to them.
I'm going to allow this. Although it is pretty convenient that it also has a night vision
Right.
setting. But you know.
Tell me your camera doesn't have night vision without telling me your camera doesn't have night vision.
I'm broke.
I'm just kidding. I don't know if that's a thing or not.
I don't know. It's more expensive. I don't know, dude. I don't know.
But Deborah holds a snake in front of Kara, who's still transfixed. It's like the scene when Charlie's dancing for Dennis on Sunny. Like I don't know what's happening here.
I don't know either.
But everything is completely quiet as Sarah approaches her with the sedative at the ready. Suddenly, though, Deborah turns around and screams, causing everything to fall into chaos. Deborah tries to bite Mia, but Sarah saves her, and suddenly both Deborah and Kara are gone, but they can hear Kara crying. Sarah takes out a gun,
Yeah.
and through the flickering light of the camera, they go deeper into the caves after them. They finally find them behind a huge rock, and when they come around, this is the part where everybody's, I know y'all been waiting for. Deborah's jaw is completely unhinged, and Kara's entire head is inside as she continues to swallow it further.
This is a lot.
It scared the shit out of me the first time I saw this.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you, that's the last thing I was expecting to see when they came around the side of the rock.
her going full snake.
Yes.
Now, I will say that I was a bit rattled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rattled.
It caused me to recoil. And there were times that I thought I could hardly snake it. But it's
God damn it.
it's the most iconic thing from the film.
100%.
Right.
And I think the majority of it was done practically because they built a jaw.
Right.
Like it looks great.
It looks
real
so
good.
fucking
Yeah.
good. But after a moment of stunned silence, Sarah shoots Deborah in the head, causing her to let go of Kara. Sarah begs Deborah to fight him, but Deborah just turns and screams at her with her newly gigantic mouth. Finally, Deborah begins to wail, and it seems like she is fighting. She stops it long enough for Sarah to inject her with the sedative.
Sarah's like, ooh, yeah. Whoever has the doctor shit is
Now,
Now I'm Prune Tracy. Now I'm Macho Man.
yes.
She begins to scream and fight, but they're able to get Kara away from her, and Mia takes the child. Deborah stares, and Sarah sets Desjardins' body up and takes out her lighter. Mia's like, we've already tried this, but Sarah says they haven't tried it here. The body goes up in flames immediately. Deborah screeches, and the walls of the caves shake as the body booms with a small explosion.
At that point, I was like, okay, maybe they were right.
yeah.
Desjardins had dynamite in his pocket.
Why'd they bury him with that?
No shit.
The camera cuts in and out, and when the dust settles, Deborah is sitting alone, crying and calling out for Sarah. And looking at her after all this, it is so fucking sad.
Yes.
It's so sad how she looks.
Well, she's been through.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was just a snake lady.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, shit's been rough.
Sarah-
You thought it was bad to watch.
Yeah, no shit. Sarah goes to her mother and sees that she's hurt. She holds her as Deborah continues to sob. We cut to a news report that shows Deborah being loaded onto a stretcher. Reunited with her parents in the hospital, Kara is alive and okay, but the anchor confirms that Sheriff Tweed is dead. She's like, don't worry about that. She could be saved. And that multiple officers and hospital staff were seriously injured. A correspondent outside of the Eczema courthouse says that Deborah Logan has been found medically unfit to stand trial for the sheriff's murder. And things are itchy. I don't know.
Things are
Things
itchy.
are uncomfortable and itchy.
Yeah. First of all, that's great. But secondly, I gotta say, they literally have footage of Deborah turning into a snake woman.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're still talking about putting her on trial.
Yeah.
You're not going to use this as to say, hey, not only was she not in her right mind when this was going on, but she was also a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if it went to trial, they would have, but they said she's medically unfit.
But that doesn't matter. Like, she shouldn't
Yeah.
even be charged.
They're like, it's
Yeah.
inadmissible.
yeah, they probably would.
Yeah.
What, if she's a snake woman?
No, they'd probably be like, we can't use any of that footage. That's not real. It's like,
What?
dude, we
Like, I promise.
Yeah.
I swear to God, though. Give me that Bible.
Believe me. Don't believe me as she lies, but I'm being
I'm
honest.
telling the truth. They say it's been months since everything happened, and the reporter says that Deborah's physical condition has deteriorated rapidly to the point where she can hardly speak. Another reporter stands outside of the Minetti house. It's Kara's 10th birthday, and they're celebrating that she's in full remission from her leukemia. Her parents are very happy, cutting the cake and celebrating with her. Kara now has a full head of hair. When the reporter asks what she's going to do with her ripe old age, Kara says she doesn't know. He tells her to make a plan, and she says she has one, but it's a secret. The reporter's like, well, all right then. He thanks her for the invite to the party, and as he signs off, Kara looks at the camera with a devious expression. The reporter says that it's an unbelievable story with such a happy ending, and it cuts to black, and we get the title, The Taking of Deborah Logan, piano plays, and the credits roll. So, T's already making a face. What did you guys think of The Taking of Deborah Logan?
I do like this movie. I enjoy this movie. I enjoyed a lot more not having to take it apart.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, there are some. I feel like a lot of my problems are just nitpicky, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is. having to take a look at it and take it apart. But I do enjoy this, and if you've never seen it, please watch it.
Yeah.
Like, it is good, and for only being an hour and a half, things move quick.
Oh yeah.
They pack a lot of time.
Yeah.
I was making a face. I will cop to the face. The reason I made a face is because I'm like, okay, so now this sweet little baby child is the demon now. She's Dehardine reincarnated or whatever.
Well,
So was the last ritual not even killing a kid? Was it snaking the kid inside your fucking giant
didn't-
mouth? Like, what's the end of the ritual?
well, we don't know.
Well, I'd like to know.
Yeah.
But we don't know that.
And so was Dehardine turning into a snake, and because he only killed 4 people? Like, I want to know.
she
Yeah.
was I mean, maybe she did die. Maybe the child did die when she was being fucking swallowed, and then she was reborn as Dehardine.
But it was a split
But that's-
second. The second that she shot Deborah.
she also
the
shot
kid-
her in the fucking head with the child's head in her mouth.
But the kid was like too fast and ran.
You know,
she ran around the rock. I saw it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't like the ending either. I'm not gonna lie.
My issue is that it could have worked.
Right.
And there is a I don't want to say there's a universe where I really like the ending.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe she's not possessed and she's just a very devious child.
She's just gonna start
She
fires
plans of
and
world
shit.
domination.
I don't want to appear to have come down too hard on this film.
Right.
Because I actually enjoy watching it, and it is a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But just like JP said, when you're watching it for the show, you notice shit that you never noticed before.
Yeah.
And so I always thought, like, watching the ending previously, I also always thought that Harris was Sarah's dad.
Yeah.
So shows how much I fucking pay attention. But whenever we get to the ending, I'm like, oh shit, he's reincarnated.
Yeah.
It's a frightening prospect.
Right.
Yeah.
But how? That's where
Yeah.
I just want to know. Because if she had killed her, then it should be Deborah that has immortality, right? Because it was the immortality of the 5th
Yeah.
kill is what I was told.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we were led to believe, right?
Yes.
You need to kill these 5 young girls, and then you become immortal, not
Yeah, but
you
it
become the
could've
5th
Yeah.
kid. And
It could have been a monkey's paw situation where that's what y'all interpreted, but that's not what it was.
I feel
Well, that's
like
not what they said.
Yeah. I feel like
Don't
they
put it
would've
on me
said
and
that.
JP.
no, I'm saying y'all, the documentarian and the.
Oh.
I'm just saying, in Dehardine. I don't fucking know. I
I
like
don't
this
know.
movie.
Wait, no. Maybe that's why he stopped. He's like, you mean I gotta be a little kid?
Yeah.
No, never mind.
Mm,
Never mind.
I don't want to.
I already did that once. I was a minor.
As I already said, I really like this. I feel like I liked it the least this last time watching it, just because we have to be so like, wait, that doesn't make sense or whatever. But I still really do like it. And I think that if you don't look too close or ask too many questions, it's really great. And I don't say that in like a don't ask questions, like a shitty way. Like, if you just watch it for what it is, I feel like it's a really good time. There are very scary moments. That Ouroboros moment with her fucking mouth is terrifying. That looks scary as fuck.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which sucks though, because if you look it up, that's the picture everyone uses for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just let that be a surprise. If
Dude.
people haven't seen it,
Yeah.
like, goddamn.
I read that one of the producers was like, that should be the film poster. I was like, don't
No.
make that.
Oh, why?
Are you out of your
Oh my
mind?
god, that makes me so angry.
Fuck.
But no, I still really like it. I feel like for me, it's really Anne Ramsey and Jill Larson.
100%.
Yeah.
I feel like I would be a little more, yeah, that doesn't actually make sense, because I know logically a lot of it doesn't make sense. But the strength of their performances, I like care about them. And
Yeah.
so I'm willing to kind of like, that's just a little airborne. Like,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's
But
still good.
I think you said it earlier, T. Like, they have a presence in the movie.
Yeah.
So you care for them.
Uh-huh.
These kids, not so much.
No, and I will
they're
give
in
you
it
that.
a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, half of the cast you don't give a shit about.
That's
I will.
kinda tough.
Yeah.
It is hilarious to me though that Gavin dipped and fucking dipped.
Well,
Like,
I
he
mean-
never, he never came
No,
back.
he's like watching that news broadcast. He's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah,
I was
it's
like, I'm glad they made it
wow.
out.
Yeah. It's like the sheriff. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That could have been me. So I guess we can kind of roll, or no, we can slither into ratings. I'm sure I'm going to have the highest score here, just for the simple fact that I am giving a little bit more for the performances and for the fact that maybe Anne Ramsey will listen to this and want to be my friend one day.
Hey, we can only hope.
The performances really sell this for me because I feel like in a lot of films, especially like this, people get possessed and they're like, oh, she was a sweet little girl. And it's like, okay, we never like saw that. So like, whatever. Like we saw who Deborah was and just the deterioration as the film goes on. It's like, fuck, you know? And Sarah is just such a believable daughter. Not, oh my God, we've been best friends since I was little. But like, no, this is a real lived in mother-daughter relationship where there is pain and there is, I'm sure, some trauma.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But the chips are down and I got to take care of my mom. Like it's just, it felt very real and authentic. And some of the visuals, man, like wow. There were moments in this the first time I saw it where I'm like, I'm fucking scared. Like, and that does not happen for me very often. But I got scared a couple times.
Yeah.
But I know that there are a couple plot holes. It's funny to me, too, that now that I'm thinking about it, we never even know if Harris lives or dies.
That's true.
So I hope he pulled out okay.
Yeah.
But I know that there are still some questions left. And no, I don't know exactly how the little girl gets possessed. But if you just watch it, it's like, oh, fuck. Like, it's that moment because they don't explicitly state anything. And I got to say, I hope they never make a sequel. I hope we just leave it at that. I don't want to
just
see
fucking shit
I
out.
don't want to see Kara in 30 years. You know, I don't need that. This is fine. But as I said, I know this is going to be a little bit higher. And that's fine. But I, on a scale from 1 to 10, burlap body bags, I am giving The Taking of Deborah Logan 8 out of 10.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
I said it was going to be high. Okay. The first time I saw this, maybe because my expectations were so low, I was kind of blown away by what they were able to do with this, especially in a 90-minute fucking found footage horror film. Was not expecting this caliber of performance or of scares.
No.
When I rewatched it again this time, I kind of landed around a 7.5, but I'm just going to give it that extra push just for the character work of Jill Larson and Anne Ramsey, because they just, wow.
Yeah.
But I will now open the floor. I'm getting a little bit of a side eye.
No. So I'm staring directly at
you. From the side of my face. But I will now open up the floor.
I'm kind of with you on this. But I do enjoy this movie a lot, but just watching it to watch it.
Yeah.
Watching it and stopping and, having to take notes and see every little thing, it does hurt this movie a lot, but I feel like because it's so short. So if you start to break it down, then you're messing with the integrity of the flow. Or you know what I mean? The flow of the movie. So
that's a really good point. I wonder what they could have done with 15 more minutes.
Yeah. Maybe.
Know?
Well, and then the students, it's like, I don't really give a shit about you guys.
No, that's
then,
true.
like you said, Gavin leaves. We never see him again. He's just
Gavin's
fuck
dead.
it. Yeah. And the ending kind of, I was like, man, this whole movie's great. And then when we get to the ending and then, the little girl smiles and I was like, why'd you do that? I was like, I was like, fuck you. You know what I mean? I'm glad that
fuck you.
Look, I'm glad that
I didn't even catch that.
I'm glad that she's better. The cancer's gone.
Yes.
I feel like that was a lot.
Well, look, the dude told us again, 5 girls had to be sacrificed. Then they were asking for immortality. You tried to eat this little girl, got stopped. And we watched you burn and all the spirits go away or whatever. How did you do that?
Did you suck in the spirit?
Yeah, what happened here? Yeah.
She breathed in the cave.
Yeah, don't do that.
Hardin was like, whoop.
Yeah.
Just dived in.
Smooth talked his way or something, right? It's French, right?
Yeah.
Mon ami.
But it just,
take my soul.
Yeah. It just kind of was, it was just, I was like, man, that's kind of hurt it for me. But I do enjoy watching this movie as is, just like that. So for me, on a scale from 1 to 10, burlap body bags, I'm going to give The Taking of Deborah Logan a 7.5. Only because I do like it. I know that if I watch it without having to stop, I'm still going to enjoy this movie.
Right.
And for what they do, you know what I mean, with, you're saying the budget they had, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It is good. And like, I never knew when she was at the switchboard when the lightning pops that they show the face.
Yeah.
This was the first time I seen it when your sister was watching it. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Me too.
we've seen it a
Couple times.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
few times. And I was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? And the same thing when I paused it and the thing showed up, I was like, holy fuck, I never seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
So me even still finding new things about it, I was like, okay, that's cool. But the ending did hurt it. You know what I mean? I probably would have gave it an 8.2 or an 8.5 or something.
Before.
'Cause I did liked, but seeing that, I was like, oh man, you guys suck. You know what I mean?
The crew.
You lied to them at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You guys don't work together well. You don't believe you're fucking, you know what I mean? They're showing you
Yes.
stuff that's going on here. You have audio, you have video. You're still like, I don't know. It's like, motherfucker, for real?
Yeah.
I see why Gavin left.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
I get it.
No, I would have been in the van as well.
Yeah.
I respect both your scores.
Yeah.
I'm not coming at this from a place of like complete negativity.
No, yeah.
There's a lot that I really enjoyed about this film. Like you said, Nay, it really comes down to Joe Larson and Anne Ramsey.
Yeah.
The character work that they're able to do in this film, I think that it might be one of the strongest points of the film.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, it's just incredible. And the fact that they have such a good rapport and chemistry as actors, it only sells everything better.
Yeah.
And god damn, Joe Larson threw herself in this role.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
she did.
It's impressive. I also think that it had great work with the special effects.
Yes.
You know, and I enjoyed the grounded medical documentary turning into a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, that's another aspect of it, is the medical part, because this is a legit reason for them to be filming everything.
Yes.
And I mean, maybe it's personally that is my fear. So maybe I'm already primed to be scared.
Yeah.
But that good point, because I didn't mention that. That was a huge part of it for me too.
I definitely appreciated that.
Yeah.
And my thing negatively is I just feel like it breaks a lot of my found footage film rules. And it also breaks a lot of my film rules. Like, I mean, my thing is like, if you're going to tell us something, you have to stick to it.
Yeah.
You're making the rules. I didn't ask you to do that.
Yeah.
Like, if you say 5 and you get to live forever, that's what I'm expecting.
Right.
And then when you, to be honest, I love it a lot, but when you drop this fucking snake shit on me,
Yeah.
I don't even know what to think. And I don't know what happened to Desjardins as far as like if he was starting to get a little snaky or not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's one thing that I wish they would have fleshed out more
No, yeah.
because
They would have scaled out a
her
little bit
skin,
more.
yeah, her skin. Like
Yeah.
that would have been nice to learn that Desjardins, the same thing was happening to him, or
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's yeah.
And
I'm changing my score. No, I'm just kidding.
was he like notorious? He was obviously notoriously evil.
Right.
But is his spirit like snaky now to where when he possesses Deborah, she becomes a snake? Or was like, I want to know.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And then why isn't fucking Kara looking scaly?
She's too young.
Oh yeah.
She's like, you know, everything's cool. She's been shedding her skin a lot. But outside of that, I mean, we're really glad to have her back. I mean, I don't know, man. But the other thing is the character, like the other three. These are our leads, basically.
Yeah.
I understand they're behind the camera a lot, but give them something.
Yeah.
I mean, we all enjoyed the Scooby-Doo bit a little too
Yeah.
much, I think. But I don't know. I would have liked a little bit more with them. And then to set up Mia as a liar, the first thing we know about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a great
I'm
thing.
telling you, that was for the character arc, for her to now be like, I can't leave Sarah.
But I love how it's setting up the character arc, and then Sarah's like, yeah, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's cool. I guess that's just the end of that. But no, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a very enjoyable film if you just watch it. It's a ton of fun. It's a very interesting take on found footage. And even with all the negative things I said, for me, it is one of the better found footage films
Yeah.
Yeah.
to just watch.
Yes.
Even if it breaks a lot of my rules.
Right.
But for me, out of 10 burlap body bags, I am going to give The Taking of Deborah Logan 6.5 out of
Oh.
10. What the fuck is
Burlap
it again? Burlap body bags. I really wanted to give it a 7, but the more I think about how the legend itself is betrayed,
Yeah.
I'm like, but that was the whole thing.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
You're not wrong.
But I mean, it's a good film
It is.
and it's a ton of fun. Watch it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to save face because I know a lot of people are
Yeah.
going to be mad at me.
They're like, wow.
Wow,
unsubscribe.
Travis. Yeah, no, please.
No, please don't go. Well, that's all from us at Pod Mortem. What would you rate The Taking of Deborah Logan, and what should we watch next? Let us know on Twitter at the Pod Mortem. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook. Be sure to follow each of us on Twitter at Blood and Smoke, at RealStreeter84, and at TravisMWH. Please consider pledging to our Patreon and stay tuned until after the music for a special shout out to our Wendigo Getter patrons. And remember, be careful when you go digging around for answers. There are some secrets that should just stay buried. Until next time. Thank you for staying tuned for a special thank you to our Wendigo Getter patrons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
A special thank you to Chris Ontiveros, Kristen Lofton, Megan Martinez, Kimberly Bass, Melanie Van Houston, Sophie Hodson, Anthony Jerome M., Jordan Nash, Kent Morton, Guy 54, Lala Thomas, Travis Anissa Hunter, Miguel Myers ATX, Mandy, Jennifer Perez, Pierre Lombard, Allison O'Neill, Carissa, TJ Bronson, Gabrielle Trevino, Spooky Mom, Andy Teague, Applin Ontiveros, Karima Rhodes, Antonio Huerta, Kimberly Kleindienst, Will Brown, Linda, Sydney Smith, Osvaldo Soto, Jonathan Booth, Bobby Holmes, Donna Eason, JD Rezak, Molly Gerhart, Armand Spasto, Aaron Aguirre, Eggy, William Barry, Brittany Ramatar, Charity Oxner, Amanda Six, Mandy Rainwater, Garrett Rogers, Jordan Roberts, Danielle Peralta, Dylan, Melissa Sierra, Holly Bryan, Alex Schultz, Jordan Blevins, Michelle Moore, Liz Heath, Spencer Montalvo, Pancake the Panda, John Ramos, Michael Newting, Alexius Roberts, Dan Laveau, Itzy M., Gary Horton, and Amanda Aliff. Thank you guys so much.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate all of you.
Yes, I gotta say that we love each and every one of you, and that ain't no spinal cap. My kids say that cap means lie.
My kids.
I'm trying to get us in with
Hey,
Gen Z.
we're
Okay?
doing our best, like whatever generation.
Whatever the next one is. Until next time.